everybody. Hope you're having a great day. I hope you're having a great start to your weekend. I wanted to make this video just to go over everything about Revelation Nation, the health tree diagram, and all this stuff. If you watched my last video, I let you guys know that what I wanted to do, instead of making like a small little video every single week, right? And some of you guys are like, probably like, well, when is he going to get to the punchline? When am I going to know what these things mean and all that kind of stuff? Instead of me taking week after week after week to go over these short little clips, I wanted to make one just grand video to go over, at least in this video, two things. My personal health and fitness history, and that's going to let you know why Revelation Nation had to come about, right? And then the health tree diagram, which is going to let you know all the terms that you have to understand if you want to really start making progress with your health and fitness journey. Okay, we're going to go over my health and fitness history, why health and fitness is so confusing, and then we're going to kind of clear the air. I'm going to show you what's behind the curtain with the health tree diagram. Okay, really excited for this video. All right, so first, my personal health and fitness history. Number one, I have never been lean, ever. All right. Maybe when you're watching this video, maybe it's like 5 years down the road and you're watching this video, and maybe, yeah, I have my dream physique then, right? But at this current state in time, I'm still going through my own steps of progression. Now, you guys who are a part of the Revelation Nation community, you know what health and fitness really is, and you know the steps of progression document. Like, you know how to move forward truly in your own health and fitness journey. I'm going through the same thing. And currently I'm at level 2, right? As I'm making this video, I'm at level 2. I'm saying that because even right now, I still have, I have the belly, I still have fat places around my body, all that kind of stuff. I still have a good deal of fat mass that I want to lose. So my point is, I've never been lean. All right. So when I was a kid, I was very self-conscious about it. Some of my family and friends, they may have never thought that I was self-conscious about it. I was never one to really express my emotions. I've always been like level-headed, you know what I mean? But yeah, I was always self-conscious, always self-conscious. I was the kid who, when we would go to the beach or go to the pool, I would have my shirt on all the time, and or try to have a beater, so that way it's like I didn't have a shirt, but I did have a shirt. I was always self-conscious. I always kind of felt bad. Uh, I love movies, right? I love movies, and so I watch these guys with these amazing physiques, and I'll be like, man, I want to look like that. You know what I mean? I watch like Batman. That's my hero, my childhood hero. And so I would watch him, and I'm like, man, I want to have that sort of physique. And no matter what I did, things just got worse. But my point is, maybe there's some of you guys out there who felt or feel the same way that I felt, where you're you were like kind of maybe uncomfortable in your own skin, and you feel like you don't really want to, you don't have the body that you want, right? And you feel very self-conscious about it. I don't feel self-conscious about that anymore because of other reasons. But my point is, when I was a kid, I was very self-conscious. I did not want to take my shirt off. Some of my family members, like my sister Crystal, she probably knew that I was self-conscious about it, right? But for the most part, I don't know if people really knew the gravity of how I felt. Like, I was like terrified. I did not want to take my shirt off and all that kind of stuff. And some of you may say, well, Cornelius, when you were a kid, were you active? Were you doing stuff and all that kind of? Yes, I was. I was outside, even though some of my family members would say, no, I wasn't outside. I was outside, playing with my friends that were down the street. We would play basketball in the backyard. We even had a skateboard at one time. We would play all these different games in the neighborhood. So I was definitely outside a good bit. I mean, I was, my mom was more like, okay, you have to be inside by 6 o'clock, right? So it was more like that. And then when I was in school, when I was like in middle school, I was playing basketball like all the time. I was always in aftercare because my mother worked late. So I was always in aftercare, and I was always playing basketball with my friends in aftercare, and I was always playing basketball or football, depending on if we were inside or outside, with all my friends during recess and all that kind of stuff. So I was very, very active. I even joined the basketball team of I went to Holy Family Catholic School. Uh, Shout out to everyone who went there. Like all you guys, you're not just my friends, like you're my family. We all know if you went to Holy Family, like we are a legit family. So shout out to everybody who went to Holy Family. So I started playing basketball like in third grade. So we had like basketball practices, basketball games, all that kind of stuff. I would go to basketball camps. My friend Josh, he remembers we went to the UMBC basketball, yeah, UMBC basketball camp. But my point is, I was very, very active, very, very active. So I was doing stuff all the time. So when I was a kid and I was very, very self-conscious about my body, I was like, okay, I have to do something. So I ended up mimicking what I was seeing all the time. So everyone who was in great shape, they were always training, they were always working out, all that kind of stuff. So what did I do? I did the same thing. So I was doing push-ups all the time. I was doing crunches all the time. I was doing trying to do pull-ups all the time. I remember one time I felt self-conscious about my ability to perform. There was one kid, I believe his name is Jordan, also in the Holy Family. Maybe if you're watching this, I remember this day. Like I remember this day vividly. We had a pull-up bar and the I don't want to say lunchroom because it was like a huge room, enough for like these huge tables and a basketball court. But on the basketball court side, there was like a pull-up bar. And so I was able to do like maybe 5 pull-ups, right? But no one else could do like even like 3 pull-ups. Then Jordan comes around. He was younger than me at the time. And this is like when I'm in elementary school, okay? He comes around, dude does like 14 pull-ups. I'm like, God, I felt bad. I was upset and all that kind of stuff. And I felt more self-conscious about my body because I was like, man, I'm not gonna look like kind of like how Jordan looks because he was in better shape than I was. So I always felt self-conscious and I was always trying to train, 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 train. I remember back at Holy Family when we would do the PT test, right? Everybody probably knows that when you had to do X amount of sit-ups and then you had to do like the the whatever amount of distance dash or whatever when you had to sprint and all that kind of stuff and you got timed. Basically like the field day, but everything that you did was like a test, right? I took that day very seriously. I was trying to win every single thing. So I was trying to train as much as I possibly could. I have one story. I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to do 100 crunches a day. Because my mindset was if I want abs, I gotta train my abs, right? Because that's what I was seeing people do. I was seeing people train, 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 train. So I'm like, okay, you have to train, 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 train. And so I ended up doing like 10 sit-ups every hour, right? So that way, after 10 hours, I would do 100 sit-ups in the day. And then I went from 10, and when I became like, I was like in my teens, I tried to do 100 every single hour to get it to 1,000, right? My point is, I was very, very, very active, and I was training a great, great deal, especially throughout my younger years, throughout elementary school as well as middle school. All right. Now, did I get better? Absolutely not. In spite of all my efforts, I got worse and worse and worse. I was on the basketball team. I played a great deal like during recess. I was outside all the time. I was training after school. I was doing all this different stuff, and I was not getting better. I still had the belly. I still was scared to take off my shirt when I was at the beach. I remember one time, my friends, if you're watching this, Jasmine, Isaiah, Pops, it was one time that we went to Myrtle Beach, when we had the church vacation, right? We went to Myrtle Beach and we were at this pool. Uh, and it was like one of the most depressing times of my life because all my friends, all you guys, if you're watching, all you guys were in the pool having a great time. And I wanted to go in the pool and have a great time with you. But I tried to act like I didn't want to swim and try to act like I'm fine. I'll just sit out and just relax. And I just sat. I literally sat on the edge of the pool with my feet in the water, with my shirt on, and I just watched my friends play. And it was it was very depressing. It was depressing because my friends are having fun and I wanted to have fun, but I didn't want to take my shirt off. And at that time, I liked Jasmine, and Jasmine knows this. At that time, I liked Jasmine, so I was kind of embarrassed to take my shirt off in front of her because I didn't want her thinking like, or oh wow, like he has all that fat on him. I felt embarrassed, and so I didn't want to take off my shirt in front of Jasmine. And I didn't want to take my shirt. I didn't want to take my shirt off in front of anyone. Honestly, I didn't want to take my shirt off in front of anyone. Um, so so much so, like this is a true story. It's a true story. Uh, there was one time I liked this girl, and we were texting, and so I didn't want to take my shirt off, right? She wanted to kind of like see what I actually looked like because I forget where she lived, but she had never really seen me, right? And so I didn't want to take my shirt off, right? And so I asked one of my friends who actually had a six pack at the time. I was like, "Can you just take a photo of yourself and then send that to me, so then I can send that to her and make it seem like that's how I look, and then maybe buy myself some time to kind of look like that, you know?" I know it sounds crazy. It sounds crazy, but you can tell like I was very, very embarrassed. I was very, very self-conscious. And maybe some of my like my family, my friends, you have known that I have felt self-conscious about my body, but maybe you didn't understand the gravity of it. You know, I yeah, it was very, very depressing. So I go into high school and I'm still not at the body that I want to have, right? And end up I got on the basketball team freshman year, and I played basketball, I played soccer, I played baseball, I still was very, very active, right? But now that I got older, I was like, okay, let me try to make my training a little bit more intense. Okay. So around 15, 16, 17, around that age, I started doing things like P90X, like home workouts. Oh, before I even go into that, when I was like 10, like 8, 9, or 10, around that time, I don't know. Some of you like older adults will know what I'm talking about. Like Tybo, you'll know what I'm talking about. I think his name was Billy Blanks, right? I used to do that all the time. My mom had like his entire workout series. I used to do that like every single day, right? If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. I kind of laugh at it. I kind of laugh at it now, but honestly, it was one of the most fun workout programs that I've ever done, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. But my point is, even then, when I was a kid, I was still training a great deal, and I found like at home workout programs. I ended up trying to like buy equipment like dumbbells or like the perfect push up, the things that twist and all that kind of stuff. Buying things like the perfect pull up, stuff like that. I started buying equipment and stuff to do at home. I was doing everything in my power to possibly to train more and more and more and more. And this is things outside of me playing outside with my friends or going to basketball practices and going to my basketball games and all that kind of that's outside of all that kind of training, right? And so I go into high school, I'm still not at the body that I want to have. And then I'm doing even more intense training with a program called like P90X. You probably heard of that. And Insanity, which is another beach body product. Okay. Now I love P90X. I love that the workouts were intense and I felt like I was lifting heavy and all that kind of stuff. I loved Insanity. I was like beat. I was tired after Insanity every single time. But my point is, I was doing all the sports that I could do. I was doing at-home workouts, and I was doing basketball training on my own outside of my own basketball practices with my team and basketball games with my team. Right? I was doing so much stuff. There was a gym that opened up like down the road from where I lived. It was called Energy Fitness. And my friend Christian, he knows what I'm talking about, Energy Fitness. And my friend Josh, he knows Energy Fitness, right? When it first opened up, like we were excited because it was the first real gym around that area that was close by. The closest gyms were like away in like Owens Mills or in Towson. There was nothing like in Randallstown. And so when that opened up, I was extremely excited because it was like only maybe like a 15-minute drive from where I was, and I had a car at the time because we're like in high school time. And this was how my schedule was. I would literally wake up around like maybe 5 o'clock because it would open up around 5. So I would wake up around 5, and then I would literally walk from my house to Energy Fitness. I would have my basketball bag and everything. I would walk from my house to Energy Fitness. I wouldn't take the bus. Sometimes I'd take the bus, but for the most part, I would just walk. And so it was like a 3 mile walk, 3 to 5 mile walk. I would just go with 3 mile walk there. And then I would do basketball training first, just to kind of like warm up my body. And then I would do strength training. And around that time, that's when I actually started to put on a good bit of muscle. I had learned from people like shout out to Jeff Cavaliere with AthleanX. I had learned a great deal about how to train properly, and I was able to put on some muscle, right? And that's when I actually put on some size, like some muscle size, and I was very, very happy about that. But I still was not able to see my six pack. Okay, and it was kind of just like devastating because like no matter what I did, I just got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Okay, so wake up around 5. I walk to Energy Fitness. I do for like 3 miles. I walk for 3 miles, and then I do my basketball training for about 2 to 3 hours, and then I would do strength training for about an hour, and then I would walk back home 3 miles, and then my day would start. Right. So, and that was like a good bit during the summer. And then that sort of mindset evolved into something else. When I was like around 17, 18, 19, I still didn't have the body that I wanted, right? I started doing, and my wife will attest to this. I was doing this for years, and I actually tried to up my training because then I started to talk to my wife, and I was like, I want to look good for her. I want to look good for her. And when we first started talking, she had never seen my shirt off and all kinds of. So I tried to like suck my stomach in all the time, right? I try to do that all the time. She probably knows, maybe doesn't know. She's in the other room right now, so she's definitely listening to me. But yeah, I like suck my stomach in. I'll try to make it seem like she couldn't see that I had a belly or whatever. And I try to up my training because I was like, if we talk even more, maybe we go to a pool or maybe we'll go to the beach. Maybe because her family has vacations every single year, and like we go on vacation every single year now. We go to a good bit of places. But anyway, we go to like the beach, and we go to the pool, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, no, I don't want to take off my shirt. So I got train. So that way, if this does happen, if we do go on vacation with our family and we go to a pool and go to a beach, I can take off my shirt and then I'll be fine with it. And also, I had the gravity of like I was apparently I didn't know this, but I apparently was like one of the cool kids in school. I didn't know like I was one of the popular kids in school. And I guess I was one of the popular ones because I was like the guy on the basketball team. I was the guy on the soccer team and all that kind of stuff. Like I had some people who were above me when I was a freshman that kind of showed me, a great deal in terms of like how to train for sports and all that kind of stuff. And then when they had graduated, like it was like the mantle had been passed down to me, right? And so I had this huge gravity of feeling like I had to look a certain kind of way. If you're an athlete, you're expected to look a certain kind of way. You know what I mean? And so I had that gravity as well. So I was training like as hard as I possibly could. Um, and when I was a freshman and sophomore, I would get ridiculed. I would say I get ridiculed a little bit when I take my shirt off in the locker room. I did not want to take my shirt off in the locker room. And my friends would kind of like, poke fun at me a little bit and all that kind of stuff. Because once again, like I said, like you're an athlete and, the mindset is you're supposed to look a certain kind of way. Like you're supposed to have washboard abs. You know what I mean? You're supposed to have like all this definition. You're supposed to. And I didn't, I had the belly. So, people made fun of me for that all the time. Uh, and that kind of hurt. I'm not gonna lie, that kind of hurt a little bit. I mean, I have thick skin, but I will admit that it did hurt. But it's not like it hurt to the point where I was like, I'm not going to do anything with my life. I'm just going to sit and sulk. It was more like I don't like how that feels, so I'm going to train my butt off. It was more like that. I was raised to be like that. My mom's motto. And if Crystal, Erica, you guys, everyone is watching, my mother's motto. It's keep moving forward no matter what happens in life, no matter if you have to slow down, no matter if you keep falling down, no matter what, you just keep on moving forward. So I had that kind of mindset, and that's what created this kind of like thick skin. No matter what I'm going to do, no matter what people throw at me, no matter what people say, I don't care how many times I fall down, right? Or if I have to slow down, I'm just going to keep on moving forward no matter what. So that's what I did. I trained harder and harder and harder and harder and harder. but to no avail, to no avail. I got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And now some of you guys are watching, maybe like some of my friends are trainers, and they're probably watching and say, well, Cornelius, you haven't said anything about nutrition yet. Anything, right? So did you do anything with nutrition? Absolutely. Absolutely. Around 15, 16 years old, that's when I started like logging my food and all that kind of stuff. I tried to like count calories. And I learned about the caloric deficit. And so I found out my calorie number to be, excuse me, in a caloric deficit, and I was logging my food and all that stuff, and still no, still no. I was always in a caloric deficit, and back then I had no idea why. Now I know why, but I was still gaining fat. I had no idea why I was gaining fat, even though I was in a caloric deficit. Okay, there was only one time in my life when I was actually losing fat mass, and I wasn't counting calories. All I was doing, I was working at Copper Mine at the time. And what I would do, I was still active because I was like active, like playing soccer and all that kind of stuff with the kids. But what I would do is I would have like a vegetable shake, I would have a fruit shake, and I would have some sort of like protein meal at the end of the day. And so that's pretty much all I have for the entire day. Now, some of you guys may take that and say, okay, well, so the solution, or what Cornelius is going to tell me, is that I have to have shakes all the time. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there was a time that when I actually was losing fat mass, the only time in my entire life when I was actually losing fat mass, I wasn't really training. I wasn't counting calories. I wasn't really in the mindset of being in caloric deficit. It was crazy that all I really was doing was having fruits, vegetables, and clean sources of protein, and that's all I was doing. And that's when my fat mass decreased. Now, I was doing so in a unrealistic fashion, and then what ended up happening was in the short term, I had, some benefits, a great deal of benefits. I would literally went from like 230 down to 190, but because it was unrealistic, I went from 190 back up, and before Revelation Nation started, I was up to 260. Okay, so I don't want you to listen to what I just said and be like, okay, so the solution is shakes. Don't think of it black and white. I'm just trying to tell you there was a time where fat mass was decreasing, and I was not counting my calories. I was not training. I was not doing this kind of stuff. And you're gonna know why that is when we go into the health tree diagram and you understand what health and fitness actually is. Okay, so, but yeah, my personal health and fitness history, struggled all my life, struggled all my freaking life, felt embarrassed to take off my shirt, didn't want to go to the beach, didn't want to go to the pool, tried to play it off like I didn't care to swim, I didn't care to, have fun with my friends, all that kind of, just complete insecurity, Got made fun of a good bit when I was an athlete in high school because I didn't have like the athlete physique. Uh, Try to like lie to some people, some girls that I would talk to, and try to get other people like to show them their physique without their face, so that way it would buy me time to get the physique that I would want to have, so that way by the time they would actually see my physique, it would look similar to the picture that I sent or whatever. It very, very insecure, very, very insecure. Okay, so I go into college. I went to Penn State Mount Alto, and I was working out with the basketball team at the time. And so I was still training a great, great deal. Let me tell you what our training schedule was like for preseason. I wasn't able to stay at Penn State Mount Alto for very, very long, but I was able to train with them. So we would wake up around maybe like 6, I believe. I think around 6. But point is, we would go outside. I knew it was dark outside. I know that it was dark outside. We go outside, and the sun was coming up, and we had to run 2 miles, right? So we ran 2 miles, and you had to run 2 miles within. They wanted us to run 2 miles within a 14 to 20 minute time frame. I came back and it was like 27 minutes. So I was not in cardiovascular shape. All right. But so we did that every single day. And then after the 2 mile run, we would go into the weight room and we'd do strength training for about an hour. Okay. Now that I'm a health and fitness professional, I look back on the way that we trained, and I get pissed off about it, but I'm not going to go into that. But anyway, we did strength training for like an hour. And then literally right after that, we had basketball training. I I think it's ridiculous to do strength training before you do basketball training, especially if you're doing like things with your chest. It doesn't make any sense because if you're a shooter and you work on your, you know what, I'm not gonna go into that. I'm not gonna go into that. But anyway, point is we did a 2 mile run and then we went right into the weight room for about an hour, and then we did basketball training for maybe at the minimum an hour. All right. So still, I'm in college now, and I'm still training a great deal. I'm still doing P90X. My friend Amanda, if she's watching this, she knows we would like sometimes she would come to my dorm room and we do the workouts together. Her and her friends come on, we do the workout together. We do P90X or Insanity, right? So we would work out together. I was still doing P90X. I was still doing Insanity. I was still doing things on my own, like body weight workouts on my own. I would still go to the weight room on days that we weren't working out, right? I would still go to the weight room and work out as much as I possibly could. My wife will attest, like I was training all the time, all the freaking time. All right. And I just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I would go to her and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna do this now, right? And nothing really happened. Now I'm gonna do this, and now I'm gonna do that. I kept on having like a different a new regime I was going to follow, like time after time after time after time after time. And I just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. I mean, it got to the point where my training, when I was in college, it was like this. I would wake up around 5, still like I was when I was going to Energy Fitness. Wake up around 5. I would do P90X in the morning, and that was about an hour. And that's intense strength training. Look it up when you get a chance. I was doing P90X for an hour, and then I would do intense basketball training, not like playing basketball with your friends. No, like intense basketball training. Shout out to I'm Possible Training. All right, if you're a basketball player and you want to like really hone in on your skills and really train in basketball, I'm Possible basketball training is a great program. So I was doing that kind of stuff, right? And I was doing it for like 4 to 6 hours because the I'm Possible basketball training would last about an hour. So I would do like a warm up for about an hour, and then I would do his stuff for about an hour, and then I would do my own stuff, like specific stuff, for about 2 hours. Okay. And then if I came back to the gym, I just would repeat it. So I was basically doing basketball training for like 4 to 6 hours after I would do P90X. All right. And then I would come home and I would do Insanity, which was about an hour. Okay. So I was training pretty much like 6 to 10 hours every single day. Okay, so I was still, even in my college years, training a great deal, like all the time. One regime I ended up doing was Jim Jones because my mindset was this. I used to think, I was like, okay, well, I want to look like Henry Cavill in Man of Steel, right? So I found out that he was doing, or Jim Jones was the company that trained Henry Cavill for Man of Steel. So I went on their site. They had a foundation sort of workout regime. I started doing that, right? My point is, I was always looking for the next thing to do, always looking for the next thing to do, even from a young age, doing like my body weight workouts, like something every single hour, then doing Taibo, then doing P90X, then doing Insanity, then doing Jim Jones, then doing I'm Possible basketball training. I was always looking for the next program to do, and I kept getting worse and worse and worse. And you may say, okay, once again, nutrition, how was it? Were you counting your calories? Were you in a caloric deficit? Yes, I was. I was doing that for years, counting my calories all the time, all the time. And I kept getting worse, okay? And so I'm in college and I'm like, okay, I want to be a lawyer. That was my first thing I wanted to do. I want to be a lawyer. And then I was like, I felt a pull toward health and fitness. Okay. And the reason why I had shifted from being a lawyer to sports management was because I was so involved in sports since I was born. I was always involved in sports. So I thought that my dream was to be in sport management, right? Uh, and then that led me to wanting to be involved in health and fitness. Now, I used to say things like, which are still true. I wanted to help people and all that, which is very true, very true. But one thing that I think I've only told one person, which is my wife, the core reason why I wanted to get involved in the health and fitness industry was because I thought that if I knew what the professionals knew, then I could look how the professionals look. Okay. So that was like the primary reason why I wanted to join the health and fitness industry. And I had thought about the health and fitness industry, like personal training and all that kind of stuff when I was in high school. I thought about it. And so that's when I started thinking about maybe I started watching people like Jeff Cavaliere. And I started like I look up to him. I really do look up to him because he knows his stuff and all that kind of stuff. And he was the one that kind of made me think, I mean, maybe I want to get in the health and fitness industry because I wanted to look like him. That's really why I wanted to look like him. And so then I go into college and I change it and all that kind of stuff. I come up with other sort of truths of why I wanted to join the health and fitness industry. But primarily, the real reason, well, not the real reason, but the core reason, the primary reason was because I believe that if I knew what the professionals knew, I could look how the professionals look. Okay, so then I try to get involved in the health and fitness industry. I didn't have a certification. This is around like my low 20s. I didn't have a certification, but I was able to get a job at this place called Results Universe. Okay. So I didn't have a certification, but they had their own sort of certification. So I was able to get a job. I was very, very happy. It was my first real personal training job. And I shout out to Jeff Cavaliere. Literally, I was only able to get that job because of the things that he was teaching. Like he was literally like my teacher. Okay. So I was learning tons from him about how the body is supposed to work, how the body moves, what muscle. I was learning terminology. I literally was like taking notes from his videos and all that kind of stuff. So when I went to the interview, I was able to communicate that. Like I knew exactly how the body was supposed to move because I trained myself, right? And I implemented the education that he was giving about how to train, all that kind of stuff. So I knew exactly, well, I knew a good bit about how the body was supposed to move, and I knew what people were doing wrong. I knew how I was training wrong in the past. I knew all that kind of stuff. So when I went to interview, I was able to get the job. And so then I moved on to other personal training jobs and all that kind of stuff. But my point is, I got involved in the industry because I thought that if I knew what they knew, I could look how they look. All right. And so I learned more and more and more, and I get to the point where I work at this one company and I needed a certification, but I was in the process of getting my NASM certification, the National Academy of Sport Medicine, so NASM, which is like the highest ranked certification. So I was in process of getting it. I got hired because of my education, what everything I knew and all that kind of stuff, and I was a good coach. I knew how to coach people. So I got that position, and as I was learning and getting my education through NASM, still I wasn't getting better. Even though I was implementing everything, I wasn't getting better. Right. And that was very, very depressing. That hurt a good bit because I felt like that was the key. You know what I mean? If you want something that someone has, you learn what they did to get it, right? And then you do it and you expect to get the same sort of result. Well, for me, I got even worse. It's like, what the heck? I got even worse. So it was very, 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 very depressing. And here's the next thing that was very, very depressing. Some of my clients from that previous company that I worked for, you guys never knew this, but if you're watching now, you're going to know. We all were able to get great results and we were all able to move forward, all that kind of stuff. Some of us, we struggled. We struggled to move forward. And not because the training was bad or whatever. We're gonna know why we struggled a good bit later on when I go into the health tree diagram. But my point is, for the ones where you guys were moving forward like easily, that kind of annoyed me a little bit. It sounds horrible to say, but it's the absolute truth. Because I would go home and I'm like, how come they are doing everything that I'm telling them to do and they are seeing amazing results and I'm doing what I'm telling myself to do and I'm not? I'm getting worse. How come we're doing the same things? We're doing the exact same things, but they're getting better and I'm getting worse. How is that happening? And maybe you've experienced that where you're doing all the right things and you're getting worse. It's like, how the heck does that happen? And I know without a shadow of a doubt that if any of you guys who are watching, you are trainers, you've experienced this issue, right? You've experienced an issue where a client comes in and they do everything that you tell them to do, everything, even if you have to change things around, and they're doing everything that you're telling them to do, and they still cannot move forward. And you're like, what the heck do I do? I know that it's true. It's happened to pretty much every single trainer, right? I actually follow some personal training groups on Facebook, and I've seen the questions. It's like, because we help trainers help trainers, we help each other out, right? So I've seen the questions where people say they came on and like, we're doing everything we're supposed to do, we're in a deficit and we're training, we're doing all this kind of stuff, or they want to build muscle, they're training hard and something's not happening, I'm building the muscle, what's going on? Do I have to change this or have to change that? They're looking for anyone who may know something that they don't know, right? And so we help each other out, try to make everyone move forward. But the point is, trainers, we have gone through that where someone is doing everything they are supposed to do and they're not seeing any progress, or they're getting worse. Okay, and I was one of those people who was getting worse. Okay, so it was kind of annoying. It was kind of annoying to see that some people were getting better and I just kept getting worse. So with that being said, I continued to just train and train and trust the process as much as I possibly could. Okay. And then I get to a point, now this is around like my mid 20s. I'm 28 now. I get to a point where I'm like, there's just something that I'm missing. There's something that's not being said, because I did all tons and tons of research, and I did everything I needed to do. And I was like, there's something that's just not being said. There's something that I'm missing here. You know what I mean? And kind of deep down, just like you deep down will know some of the things that I'm going to tell you later on. Like you probably felt these things, but didn't know if it was true or not, or you didn't know how to organize it. I felt the same kind of way. And I'll go over it a little bit later. My point is, I was like, there's something that I'm missing, something, right? And so I go back into my education. I was like, maybe I misinterpreted something, or there's a missing puzzle piece. And I gotta find it. I gotta find what that missing puzzle piece is. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go through my entire education again. Everything. I'm gonna go through everything again, just to do a full sweep. And I found something. I found something that the health and fitness industry had to do a long time ago. And it explains the reason why in today's age, health and fitness is extremely confusing. Extremely confusing. If you have your own health and fitness journey, if you've already started it, you know health and fitness is very confusing. You're going to go out and you're going to hear all kinds of stuff, all kinds of stuff. And it's like, okay, well, is this the way I should go? This person said drink water to lose weight, but this person said it doesn't matter how much water you drink, you got to be in a caloric deficit. This person said don't worry about your calories, just worry about your macros. This person said don't worry about your nutrition, just train, because the more you train, the more you're going to burn, so you can don't worry, you don't have to worry about your nutrition. So it's like, which way do I go? You know what I mean? Do I not worry about nutrition and just train all the time? Do I worry about nutrition and just eat healthier? You know what I mean? Do I worry about my portion sizes, or is it that? Like what is it? Which way do I go? So there's a reason why health and fitness is let me adjust this. There's a reason why health and fitness is very, very confusing, and it's because of what the health and fitness industry had to do a long time ago. Okay, so this kind of concludes like the first part of my video, my history of my health and fitness, the history of my health and fitness journey, right? And then now I'm going to talk about why Revelation Nation had to come about. You know, it was something was missing, and I found out what was missing. Okay, so the history of the health and fitness industry. All right, this is the next part, the history of the health and fitness industry. So a long time ago, like we're talking like 50s, 60s, 70s, around the time when the health and fitness industry really started to take shape. Okay. When it really started to take shape, you had two different parties. Okay. You had the professionals and you had the general public. Okay. Now you have to know what a professional actually is. Okay. A professional is someone with a nationally accredited certification. okay, nationally accredited, all right, and or someone with a degree. Those are professionals. Anyone that does not have one of those things, they are not considered a health and fitness professional. Okay. Now, when it comes to health and fitness professionals, you have four main groups. You have doctors, you have trainers, you have nutritionists, and you have dietitians. All right. Yes, chiropractors and massage people and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but four main ones. Four main ones. You have doctors, trainers, nutritionists, and dietitians. All right. And all of them, in order for them to be professionals, like your doctor has to have a degree, right? You're not going to go to the hospital and be like, hey, do you have a degree? Like, no, I don't have one. And be like, okay, yeah, I trust you to do open heart surgery. This is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So you have to know who a professional actually is, because if they are not a professional, chances are it's a high chance that you're going to get hurt. It's a high chance that you're going to get hurt. And if you're listening to someone who seems like they're professional, but you don't really know they're professional, yeah, you're probably definitely going to get hurt. One of the other reasons why I had joined the health and fitness industry was because of what happened to my mother a long time ago. Okay. So my mother wanted to get in better shape. So she bought one of those products. It was like an ab chair. Maybe some of you who are older, you know what I'm talking about, where you sat in a chair that had handles right here. You go side to side, forward and back, and all that kind of stuff. So she bought that. She was doing the workouts and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm upstairs. I guess I was just like playing video games or whatever. But all of a sudden, she just screams. Like at the top of her lungs, she is screaming. Okay. Now, my mother was a Marine. All right. So like tough as nails. All right. So I had never heard my mother scream, ever heard my mother scream. And so I sprint downstairs. I sprint downstairs and I'm like, what the heck's going on? And so I see her and she's in this position. So she's like forward and like twisted like this. All right. So she's in that position. All right. And if you ever seen like the movies where like someone throws a grenade and like it blows up and someone's hearing is just like gone, but like in the background, you know someone's screaming, like you know someone's trying to say something, but slowly but surely, like the volume comes back. That's what happened to me. So I was shocked. I was frozen. I couldn't move, right? I'm just looking at my mother in like this intense pain, and I have no idea what to do. None. I have no idea what to do. This is like when around 15, 16 years old, around that age, I had no idea what to do. And so slowly but surely the volume comes back and she's like, call 911, call 911, call 911, like she's like yelling more and more and more and more. And so I like snap out of it and I run upstairs, get the telephone, call 911, and they come and they had to actually put her on a stretcher and take her to the hospital. That day I was like, this is a problem that has to be solved. No one should be fearful of having some sort of workout program or something like that and ending up going to the hospital because of it. Okay, that's why I am so, people who know me, right, and know how I train people, now you know why I am the way that I am. Like making sure that you are safe, that you're doing things the right way, that you're positioned the right way, all that kind of stuff, because you can end up going to the hospital if something goes wrong. So for you guys who are following people and you don't know if they are a professional or not, you have to understand you may end up in the hospital. There's a big difference between someone knowing how an exercise is done. Someone can tell you, okay, for a push-up, get on the ground and push on up. Anyone can tell you that. But not everyone can tell you why your shoulder may be hurting because of your ankle. See, that's entirely different. You guys who are watching, you may be like, what? How does that make sense? Exactly. If you don't know how that makes sense or how that could possibly happen, you are probably not a professional. If you don't know how your shoulder can hurt because of your ankle, probably not a professional. Okay. So anyway, um, back to the history of the health and fitness industry. You had these two parties. You had the professionals and then you had the general public. Okay. So in the beginning, these two parties pretty much knew the same amount of information. Okay. Around that time, pretty much if you went to the gym and you were big or whatever, people looked to you for advice, right? Like in Arnold's time, right? Everyone would look to Arnold, see what Arnold was doing, and try to mimic that. And all, they try to mimic this kind of stuff. But everyone knows Arnold was never a professional, ever, right? And sometimes he would give advice about how to do the bench press and all that kind of stuff. But that doesn't mean that he's a professional. It doesn't mean that he understands how the skeleton has to be positioned, what muscles attach to what muscles pull bones in certain directions, right? And how the central nervous system connects to what muscles at what time to produce X amount of energy at a specific time. Doesn't know all that kind of stuff. All right. I give you a great example. When it comes to a bench press, people are going to generally tell you to put your elbows around 45 degrees, generally speaking, around 45 degrees. But for someone like me, if I do that, I'm not going to work the middle of my chest. And if you don't know why I'm not really going to work the middle of my chest, if I have my elbows around 45 degrees, chances are you are not a professional. Chances are you know how, or you think you know how to do the bench press. Okay. So anyway, in the beginning, these two parties pretty much knew the same amount of information. Everyone knew how to do the exercises. But as time went on, the professionals, we learned more and more and more about how the body is supposed to move or how the body behaves. Doctors learned more about the organs. They're experts in organs. Okay, so they learn more about the organs and how they function and all that kind of stuff. Trainers, we learn more about how the body is supposed to move because we are experts in muscle mechanics, basically. That's what we are experts in. Okay, how the body's supposed to move. Nutritionists and dietitians, they are experts on the nutrition end. They learn more about how foods affect certain bodies, okay, like how they may have certain chemical reactions depending on who the person is and all that kind of stuff. So that's what they are experts in. But my point is, as time went on, each professional learned more and more and more about their profession, how the body behaves, okay? So much so that now it becomes very, very difficult for the professionals to communicate to the general public and for them to understand what the professional is saying. All right. And then on top of that, it's going to be very difficult for the general public to communicate back to the professionals. So the problem that we have, which is what every single profession has, is communicating your expertise to someone who has no idea what your profession is. So for all you who are watching with your profession, you have done this before. Think of a time when someone asks you, hey, what do you do for a living, right? You'll tell them what your job title is, right? And they may have asked you, okay, so what does that entail, right? Are you going to give them the whole enchilada? No, you're not. Because if you did, it would be very, very hard for them to understand every single thing, right? My friend Christian, right? He's a type of engineer, all right? You ask him what his job entails, right? He's not going to be able to give you every single little detail because it's way too many specifics and way too many terms that we're just not going to understand. So what does everybody have to do when they explain their profession to someone who has no idea what their profession is? They simplify it. They simplify it to like the key 10%. So that way it's easier for the professional to communicate to the general public. It's the same thing that happens in the health and fitness industry. Okay. When you've gone to your doctor's office, does the doctor speak to you as if you're a doctor? No, the doctor does not speak to you as if you are a doctor. All right. They speak in layman's terms. So that way it's easier for you to understand and also easier for you to communicate back to them because a patient has to tell the doctor what's going on, right? So they have to speak in layman's terms. So that way, if here's the general public and here's the professional has to get down on their level. So that way communication is smooth. So my point is the health and fitness industry, just like every single other profession, simplified everything, everything, even the basic terms. We had to simplify everything. So that way it was easier for the general public to understand what we're talking about so that way they can communicate back to us. All right. Here's the problem with that. When you simplify everything, let's say with your profession, if you're trying to explain it to me and you simplify everything, right? You would never say that the simplified version is the standard version. You would never say that. You would never say the simplified version is the standard version. But that's what ended up happening with the health and fitness industry. The simplified version kept on spreading more and more and more and more and more. And it was easier and easier and easier for people to understand the simplified version. So much so that now people are looking at the simplified version and believing that this is the standard version. I know plenty of people who behave like this. And maybe if you're a trainer, if you're a professional, you've experienced someone who behaves like this as well, where they believe that they are an expert just as you are, right? They talk to you as if they know what health and fitness is. They know what to do and all that kind of stuff. Like people have come to me and be like, "Oh, I know what I gotta do. I just gotta drink some more water." Oh, I know what I gotta do. I gotta make my portions smaller. I know what I gotta do. I know what I gotta do. And I'm like, you're speaking as if you are a professional, as if you have nationally accredited certifications and or degrees. You're speaking as if you do. And so imagine if anyone who's watching is a doctor, imagine your patient talking to you as if they are the doctor. How annoyed would you be? Or for you, everyone who's not a doctor watching, like imagine when you explain your profession to somebody, imagine the person explaining your profession as if they are an expert in that field, right? Imagine that. Imagine they take the simplified version and they're speaking about this kind of stuff as if this is the end all be all and they're an expert in it. You would be listening to them and like, no, like what are you talking about? like you have no idea what you're really talking about. You believe you know what you're talking about, but you don't really know what you're talking about. Why? Because the simplified version is not the full version. All right. So in the health and fitness industry, we have so many terms that are being misrepresented, misunderstood. And it's not because people are just ignorant, or I don't want to say ignorant, for lack of a better word, stupid. It's not because of that. It's because you keep hearing the simplified version over and over and over and over and over again, right? It's like you're living in osmosis. You keep on living in this environment, you're going to end up becoming a product of that environment. You see what I'm saying? So that's what you believe that's all it is, right? Our parents, right? Back in like the 70s and 80s, what was the big trend in nutrition around that time? Portion control. So if you ask your parents about nutrition, what do they have to do for nutrition? Chances are they're going to say, "Oh, you got to make sure your portions are right," right? But if you are like a 90s baby, right? Like me, right? If someone younger than us asks someone who was born around like the late 80s into the 90s what nutrition has to be, they're going to hear about the caloric deficit, right? And then someone around this day and age, what are they going to hear? They're going to hear keto. They're going to hear all. So what ends up happening with the simplified version, people end up taking it and making it into something that it's not, right? Instead of just understanding what these terms really mean. If you don't understand what these terms really mean, chances are, well, not chances, you are gambling your chances of success. I'm going to give you an analogy, right? Imagine we're playing a game and you only know 10% of the rules. If you only know 10% of the rules, is it possible that you can win the game? Absolutely. Absolutely possible that you can win the game. Is it probable that you're going to win the game? Absolutely not. Absolutely not probable that you are going to win the game. And not for lack of effort. Okay? Not for lack of effort. You are doing everything in your power to win this game. It's just the fact that you are only working with 10% of the rules. Imagine we're playing basketball, right? And I never ever told you where out of bounds was. I never told you that. Well, chances are you're going to go out of bounds all the time, right? What if I never told you that in order to pass the ball inbounds, you need to have another teammate, right? So if you come on the court by yourself, you can't pass it inbound. So you lose all the time. You see what I'm saying? You have to know what the rules of the game fully are. Fully are. You see what I'm saying? And so that's why hopefully now it makes sense about why so many people, they're doing the exact same things. They're doing the exact same things. Some people, they're successful, right? In the short term, maybe not in the long term. But in the short term, they're successful. But way more people are unsuccessful. And it's not because they're bad people. It's not because they're lazy. It's not because they're not disciplined. It's not because of that kind of stuff. Like I hear that kind of stuff all the time. Oh, you just gotta work hard. You gotta work. No, it's not because of that. It's not because of that. You telling someone who doesn't know how something actually works and just telling them just to work harder is like telling a third grader to work harder on the test for calculus. If they don't know all the different maths, telling a third grader to work harder to pass that test, it's not going to do anything unless they know what calculus means and everything that it entails. If they only knew addition, right? They only knew addition. You could tell them all day, work harder, work harder, work harder. And all they're going to do is work harder with addition. And then they go to the calculus test and they keep failing. And you're like, oh, you're just lazy. You're not working hard enough. It's like, no, that's not the problem. The problem is they don't know everything that calculus entails. They're working their butt off. Like I was working my butt off. Probably you too. You were working your butt off. You're doing everything in your power, but you're only working with 10% of the rules. That's the problem. That is the problem. All right, and that's what Revelation Nation is about. What I want to do here is let you guys know what these definitions fully mean at the basic level, because that's where everything starts, right? We need to start at the very, very beginning, and I need to help you understand what these basic terms really mean. So that way you can actually make prudent decisions to move forward, all right? Imagine like a house. The roof of the house is the goal. The house part is like your health and fitness regime. Like, let's say you're going to the gym like 3 times a week and you're eating X amount of proteins, carbs, and fats and all that. That's like your health and fitness regime. Well, a house cannot stand if it does not have a foundation, right? So that's what we're building here, the foundation. Now, some of you may be watching, you may say, oh, I have a foundation. I'm good. I'm going to the gym. I'm logging my food. I'm doing this kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. But you don't realize that if you don't have the education, if you don't know what these terms actually mean, your foundation is not solid ground. Your foundation is sinking sand. And so that would explain why, in the short term, yeah, people can build this luxurious house with their health and fitness regime. They can build this luxurious house. But in the long term, what ends up happening? They fall off. The house collapses. Why is that? Is it for lack of effort? No. They did everything they possibly could do in building their health and fitness regime. That's not the problem. The problem is the foundation. The foundation was sinking sand. We need the foundation to be solid ground. So the question is, how do I do that? How do I make my foundation solid ground? It starts with your education. It starts with your education. You have probably had questions about the health and fitness industry all the time, but never questioned it. Like, why are some people counting their calories and they're getting better, but so many people are counting their calories and they're getting worse? Why are some people going to the gym and they're seeing great results, but so many other people are going to the gym and they're getting worse? Why are some people in the gym for years and years and years, and why do they have a belly? Right? They're working out all the time. They're training their abs all the time, and they still have a belly. Why is that? Why are some people training for hypertrophy or building muscle for all these years and they're still small? Why are they still small even though they've been training for years to get bigger and nothing has happened? Right? Why are some people just drinking water and they're seeing great results, and other people are drinking water and nothing's happening? Right? You probably have had all these different questions about, like, one group is okay, but this huge group is not okay. But we've never questioned the system. We've never questioned it. Here's another question for you. If it's all about training, right, then why do we have nutritionists and dietitians? Why do they exist? Why does that profession exist? Also, here's another one, right? If it is truly all about calories, then why do nutritionists and dietitians exist? Why does that profession exist if it's all about calories? So you first have to question what you've been told. And you already have these questions probably already, but you've never really questioned any of the professionals, right? You've probably just fallen for the biggest trick in the book, which is you look at us trainers and we have the physique that you will want to achieve. We have that physique that you will want to achieve, and then you end up seeing what we are doing, and then you mimic that, right? And you mimic it, and you believe if you mimic it, you will have the same result. That's exactly what I did. I saw people that I admired, like The Rock, Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I saw all these guys, and I was like, okay, they are in the gym working hard, so I'm going to do the same thing. No, 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 no. So I gave you the analogy of the house and what Revelation Nation is here to do: provide a solid ground foundation by giving you real, true, and full fitness education, helping you to understand what the basic terms really mean, right? What the basic terms really mean. And once you understand what they really mean, then we can start building a solid ground foundation slowly but surely based off of what is realistic to you. Okay. That's what we're here to do. And now I'm going to give you another analogy that will lead us into the health tree diagram. All right. In this current day and age, health and fitness is like a magician on stage. Okay. Health and fitness is like a magician on stage. The audience is like the general public, right? You guys are looking at the magician on stage and you're like, man, he's doing all these different tricks and all that kind of stuff. The show was amazing. I don't know how he does that, all that stuff, right? And then there's one person in the audience who looks at the magician and says, I want to be like him. That was me in the past. Before I got certified on, that was me. I look up at the magician, I'm like, I want to be like him, right? And so what is he doing? Okay, he just put his hand up, waved it, and a quarter appeared. I want to be able to do that and show people that and have them be amazed that I can do it too, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go outside, I'm going to wave my hand, and a quarter is going to appear. So what do I end up doing? I go outside and I say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Cornelius Washington, and I'm about to perform an amazing trick. So then I stand, I'm like this. And I look, there's no quarter. It's like, wait, okay, maybe I just did it wrong. Maybe I did it wrong. I'm gonna do it again. And no quarter. So I just keep doing it over and over and over and over and over again, hoping that one day this quarter will appear, right? And obviously, you watching, you know that's just never going to happen. Now, why is that never going to happen? Because there are things that are happening behind the curtain that allow the trick to be done. All right. So that's the reason why so many people are unsuccessful. You're looking at people and you're not understanding what's going on behind the curtain. You're not understanding the components of the trick. I didn't need to mimic the guy on stage. I needed to know what was behind the curtain, understand all the different components of the trick, and then understand how all these components link up together, right? Once I know all the components, and then I know how they all link up together, then I can perform or move forward in the trick the right way. So that's what the health tree diagram is. It is me pulling back the curtain and helping you to understand what these basic terms really mean. All right. So now we get into the third part of this video, which is the health tree diagram. Very, very excited to share this with you guys. Very, very excited. So let's go right into it. I'm gonna share my screen with you, and then we're gonna go right into it. Okay, so hopefully by now you can see my screen. All right. So obviously you're not seeing the specific components, right? But I just wanted you to see from a distance how big this diagram is. All right. Now, some of you may look at this and be like, wow, that's a lot. And we have to go through a lot of stuff. It does seem daunting at first. It does seem daunting at first. But as we go through it, you're going to see how everything connects. And then it's going to make way, way, way more sense. And some of the stuff I'm going to tell you right now, some of the stuff you're going to know. Some of the stuff you have believed always, right? But no one had ever told you that it was the truth. And you were always hearing the simplified version of these terms, right? So what I'm doing here is I'm giving you the full definition of these terms. That's why some of the stuff that I'm going to say, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I knew that. Yes. And I'm going to give you the other stuff that you don't know. So that way you can fully understand the context of the definition. All right. So let's start to pull back the curtain. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go through these components and I'm going to let you know what you're currently, like the simplified version, right, of what you're currently seeing in today's age, and then letting you know what the full version really is. All right. So the first one up here, I'm not going to zoom in just yet, but the first one up here is your true goal. Okay. This is your true goal. So what do I mean by that? Most of you guys, you'll say things like, okay, I want to be leaner. I want to be stronger. I want to build muscle. I want to do all this kind of stuff. I want to do that, right? And if you come to me and you say, that's my goal, I'm going to tell you, no, that is not your goal. People have come to me and I've said that and they start laughing. They're like, wait, doesn't make any sense. How is that not my goal? Right? And it's because you don't understand what that goal actually means. So the simplified version is leaner, stronger, build muscle, blah, 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 blah. That's the simplified version. But let's understand what this goal really means. All right. So this term right here is health. Health is your true goal. Health is your true goal. And now some of you may say, oh, yeah, well, I knew that. But do you know why it's your true goal? Do you know what health actually means? So, health is the level of functionality of your body. Like when you have disease, right, your level of health is going down, which means the functionality of your body, all the processes and all that kind of stuff, they are working less effectively and less efficiently. That is what disease is, right? So health is the level of functionality of your body, okay? Now you may say, my goal is leaner, stronger, all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to say, no, it's not. And it's because of the fact that us professionals, we call them health and fitness goals. You guys may call them goals, but there's a reason why us professionals, we call them health and fitness goals. We don't just call them goals. And it's because of what the words health and fitness actually mean. All right. So health is the level of functionality of the body. Fitness is the ladder that you climb to reach new levels of health. All right. So if you want to be leaner, you need your body to function at a higher capacity. You need all the functions of the body to work at a more effective and more efficient way. If you want to build muscle, you have to be healthier. You need your body to perform or work at a more effective and more efficient way. All right. So that is why we call it health and fitness goals. So your goal is not be leaner, build muscle, blah, blah, blah. Those are the results of you building your health. You see what I'm saying? Your goal is health. And as you build your health, the result will be getting leaner, being stronger, building muscle, all that kind of stuff. All right. But if you focus on the simplified version, which is be leaner, stronger, blah, 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 blah. If you focus on that, well, you're gambling your chances of success. Why? Because you're probably not going to increase in health. You're probably not going to do what is necessary to build your health. And if you do not build your health, you're not going to reach your health and fitness goals. You see what I'm saying? You see how the simplified version can screw with you. You focus so much on being leaner and building muscle and getting stronger, you may not be actually building your health. And if you don't do that, you don't reach your health and fitness goals. There's a reason why us professionals, we call them health and fitness goals. We don't just call them goals. And that is why. All right. So that's the first component you have to understand. It's what your goal really is. All right. Then once you know what your goal really is, the question is, how do I build my health? That's what I need to know next. All right. So I'm gonna zoom in. Scroll up. Move this out to the side. All right. So health has two components. It has recovery and it has stress. You need to have both in order for your health to grow. All right. Now, how do we know that's true? Right? Because I want to make sure that you guys always, always, always are getting the full truth. Right? You have to know who's going to be telling you the truth and who is kind of giving you a simplified version. Okay, so I'm going to explain to you how health has two sides, recovery and stress. When we were babies and our bones were growing, right? That was a stress. The stress gives a body a reason to change. That's what stress is. Anytime you're going through a stress, your body is learning that it's probably going to have to change in order to endure the environment that you are in. So when we were babies, the bones growing, that was a stress. All right. But then you had to have the other side, recovery. You had to have that. Our moms taking care of us and all that stuff, that was the recovery. Now, as long as the recovery was stronger than the stress, your health went up and you were a healthy baby, right? But at any point in time, if the stress becomes stronger than your recovery, your health goes down and you go away from your health and fitness goals, and then you're not going to reach them. So now it should explain why so many people, they're going to the gym, right? They're working out all the time, training all the time. And some people, yeah, they're building muscle. Some people, right? But there are plenty of people out there, they're not seeing any results. They're getting worse. They're getting worse from their training. Now you know why. The stress is stronger than the recovery. The health goes down. They go away from their health and fitness goals. You see what I'm saying? See, this is what happens when you don't understand what your goal really is. Chances are you're not going to build your health. And if you don't build your health, you don't reach your health and fitness goals. All right. So, stress gives your body a reason to change. Recovery ensures that the change that you want is the change that you get. When you go through a stress, your body is looking to change. But that doesn't mean it's going to be beneficial, right? That doesn't mean it's going to be beneficial. The only way that's going to be beneficial is if you have the recovery. All right. Now, in here, you have the metabolic engine. All right. Now, before I talk about the metabolic engine, I'm going to talk about stress, right? And then I'm going to go into the metabolic engine. So on the stress side, let's talk about the simplified version first. The entire health tree diagram, right? This is the full version of that simplified version that you guys always hear. This health tree diagram simplified, the thing that you hear all the time, is that, oh, health and fitness is just training and nutrition. That's it. That's not all that health and fitness entails. There's way more components, all right? But training and nutrition is the simplified version. All right. So what we want to do here is expand it, help you guys know what health and fitness really means. So that way you can make a prudent decision moving forward. So when it comes to training, yes, training is definitely a part of health and fitness. But now you're going to know why. Because training is a type of external stress. That's why, right? Just like nutrition is one of the components of recovery, right? But it's not just nutrition. You have nutrition, hydration, and sleep. Nutrition is a part of recovery, but you have other components that you have to understand, right? So when it comes to training nutrition, yes, these are parts of health and fitness, but that's the simplified version. The full version is what I'm showing you here, this full health tree diagram, all right? So training right here is a type of external stress, which means that when you train, it's something that's in your control. That's why it's external, right? It's something in your control. And that stress is a stress that will give your body a reason to change. All right, a reason to change. So that's what this actually looks like. Okay. But when it comes to training and nutrition, well, right now I'm talking about training, you need to know what training actually means. So before I go into that though, you have to understand that stress is not only external, but it is also internal. You have emotional stress. Okay. And so if you have tons and tons and tons of emotional stress, I've had clients in the past where their emotional stress was fear. So much fear and so much anxiety that the internal stress was causing the stress to become stronger than their recovery. I've had people who are like, I gotta work out, I gotta work out, I gotta work out, and they have internal stress, this fear and this anxiety and all that kind of stuff. And then they have the external stress of training, and they focus so much on the training, so much on the stress side, they don't get enough of the recovery side. And then what ends up happening? The stress becomes stronger than the recovery, the health goes down, and they go away from their health and fitness goals. Okay, so you have to understand stress is both internal as well as external, but you got to make sure the recovery is always stronger than the stress. Always, 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 always. All right. Now, training. You have to know what that term actually means. You have to know what that actually means. Most people that I get, and most people who are watching, let's say you want to lose some fat. All right. What's the first picture that comes into your head in terms of, like, if I say, what do you have to do to lose fat? What's the first picture that comes into your head? Probably a gym, right? Probably a gym. You're thinking about working out and all that kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. And it's because you don't realize that the simplified version of training is this. Training does utilize energy. It does utilize energy, which means it can help with your leanness goals. It can help you. Okay, that's the simplified version. Now, you should understand why that's a simplified version. Why? Because the full version we have here, training is a type of external stress, and stress gives your body a reason to change. So now you know why. Training can help with you getting leaner. It can help, right? But does it guarantee that it's going to help? No. And now you know why. You already know training does not guarantee you to be lean. You know that already, right? You know that. But now you know why. From the full version, you know why. Because training is on the side of stress. And if you have too much stress and is over the recovery, your health goes down, you go away from your health and fitness goals, all that kind of stuff. You have to have the recovery side to be stronger than the stress. That's why training does not guarantee that you're going to hit any of your health and fitness goals. That's why. So you have to know what's really going on here. Now, why did the simplified version become all the rage? Okay, why did it become all the rage? That training helps you, it can help you to be lean and all that kind of stuff. Here's the reason why. Here's one of the biggest tricks the magician is performing on stage. Whether the magician is performing it on purpose, I'm talking about like health and fitness professionals. Some professionals are doing this on purpose. Some people are not doing this on purpose. And some people who are not professionals are behaving as if they are professionals. But anyway, when it comes to, let me stop sharing this because I want to actually, here we go. When it comes to the 4 different professions for health and fitness, okay, you have doctors, trainers, nutritionists, and dietitians. Okay, you have like the other one, like masseur and chiropractor. We're not talking about those, right? Those are kind of like tangents off the 4 main ones. So these 4 professions, out of the 4 different professions, when it comes to your health and fitness goals, which profession looks the way that you want to look the most? Is it a doctor? Probably not. A nutritionist, dietitian, or a trainer? A trainer. See, trainers, we look, right? We look how the general public wants to look. Okay? And so that's the first way that we get you. All right? Because we look that way, you're going to want to look at us and see what we're doing. But you have to understand what our profession actually is to understand why you constantly see training. All right. So here's what training really means. Training is a test that you put your body through to see if it can perform a certain activity. It's about performance. That's what training actually is. All right. It has nothing to do with body composition, as in like you getting leaner or not, nothing to do with that. At its core, training is about performance. Now, some of you professionals may say, oh, no, you can train to lose weight, blah, 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 blah. We're not going over that. We're not going to simplify the version. You have to understand what training really fully means. Training is about performance. So for you guys in the general public, what we trainers learn is how the body is supposed to move, because that's what training actually is. Imagine you're trying to play basketball, right? You need a basketball trainer. The basketball trainer is going to put your body through some drills so that way your body knows how to perform on the court. So every single type of training is about performance. Now you may say, well, when it comes to personal training, I don't see how you're training for something. You are training for what your body has to do outside of the gym. When you're doing a shoulder press, right? That movement is called shoulder flexion as well as elbow extension. All right. So shoulder flexion and then elbow extension. That's a shoulder press. So what are you preparing for? You're preparing for the time when you may go home and you have to reach up for something very, very high, and you have to grab something and you need to be able to grab it, reach up and grab it the right way. If you are reaching up like this, that's a problem, right? So a trainer is going to see that this movement is happening the wrong way. Something is going wrong. So they have to fix that problem. So that way, when you go home or you go anywhere outside of the gym and you have to reach up for something, you can grab it without having pain in your neck or pain in your shoulder or pain around like your rotator cuff. You're not going to have pain there, right? That's what you're training for, because that's what training actually means. Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Hopefully you cannot hear the car alarm that's going on outside. Hopefully you can. But if you can, just ignore it. So I'm going to tell you something that pretty much no trainer is ever going to tell you. No trainer is ever going to tell you. Now, we trainers, because we are experts in training, we had to find a way to attract this huge pool of clients. When it comes to the general public, when it comes to their goals, which one do they want to achieve the most? Which is like the majority? Is it lose fat, build muscle, get stronger? Which one is it? The majority is lose fat. Okay. Notice I'm not saying lose weight. I'm not saying that. So the majority wants to lose fat. So let me ask you, when it comes to losing fat, which one do you have to do? Is it about training or is it about nutrition? Which one? Deep down, you know, it's nutrition. You know why? And if any of you say, oh no, it's training. It's training. It's definitely training, right? So let me ask you this. Why did you gain the fat in the first place? I said that to one of my friends a long while ago. He wanted to get in better shape and all that kind of stuff. And he said, hey, Cornelius, I got to get to the gym. I got to get to the gym to lose this fat. I know I do. I said, well, why did you gain the fat in the first place? And he was like, oh, you knew exactly why. It had nothing to do with his training. It had everything to do with his nutrition. Every single thing. All right? Everything to do with nutrition. Now, let me ask you this. If you want to lose fat and you see a trainer, you see their physique, you're like, oh, let me just mimic them. Let me do what they're doing, all that kind of stuff. Doesn't that go against what you truly believe? That you need to change your nutrition? See how that's the first trick you're falling for. The first trick you're falling for. So you're looking at a trainer and how they look, and what are you looking at? What do you see a trainer doing? 99% of the time, what do you see us doing? Training. Why do you see us training all the time? Because that's what we're experts in. We are experts in training. So we're going to want to do what we're experts in. Do you see nutritionists and dietitians training a lot? No. You see them dealing with food. You see what I'm saying? You see doctors working out? No. You see them like in their lab coats and whatever they wear, right? You see them in that. So the first trick you're falling for is looking at how someone looks and think, oh, I want to look like that. So let me see what they're doing. But what you're going to see is training all the time. But you're going to see training all the time because that's what we're experts in. But that's not all that we're doing. And you know that's not all that we're doing, because deep down, you know that to lose fat, you got to change nutrition. But when you see a trainer, that's not what you're going to see 99% of the time. It's not what you're going to see. All right. And then you may say, well, I'm following a trainer and he's talking to me about calories, blah, blah, blah. We're going to get into calories and all that kind of stuff on the recovery side. But I want you to know right now what training actually means. It has nothing to do with your fat mass and all that, nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with that. Training is all about how your muscles behave. That's it. You are training your muscles to behave a certain type of way for a certain type of activity. That's all it is. And so many people, what ends up happening is if you train to lose fat, you are gambling your chances of actually enjoying what you're going to be doing in your training. You're gambling it. And you may say, well, goodness, how is that? When you don't know what training actually is, you're probably not going to have fun. Probably not. You guys who are a part of the Revelation Nation community, you guys, you're doing your own thing with your training and you're having fun, right? I'm not even making personalized programs for them. They're just doing what activities they enjoy doing. They're having fun, okay? And it's because they know what training actually means, all right? So if you come and you say, Cornelius, I want to train to lose, generally speaking, they say train to lose weight. That's what you're going to say. I'm going to train to lose weight. This is what I'll do to some people. I'll say, okay, what's something that you hate doing? Let's say they say, like, I hate running. Guess what I'm going to say? All right, you're going to run. It's like, wait, I just said that I hate running. But you guys in the general public, you may have a trainer who's like that, right? And you may say, well, okay, well, they're the professionals, so I'm just going to listen to what they're saying, blah, blah, blah. But what ends up happening is that you are going to end up hating the program. You're going to end up hating what you're doing. And it's because you do not have your training purpose. Okay. Now, that's a term that pretty much none of you watching has ever heard, except for the ones who are a part of the Revelation Nation community, and you are going through your own steps of progression. We've probably gone over a training purpose. If you're at that level now where you say, okay, I want to actually start to do some training, we've gone over training purpose. But let me explain. Training purpose is knowing what you want your body to be able to do. It's like, why are you training? What are you training for? That's your training purpose. All right. If your training purpose is not being represented in the training regime, you're not going to enjoy it. I'll give you a great example of someone who does enjoy it. I'm not training right now. I'm not training right now because I knew that if I was going to go through my own steps of progression, right, and I was training, 99% of you guys would be like, oh, he's seeing progress because he's working out. So I'm not training, right? At this current time when I'm making this video, I'm not training, okay? But let me tell you what my training purpose is, or what it's always been, like, even since I was like younger. I wanted to build muscle, right? Obviously, I wanted to get leaner as well. But what ended up happening was that I was like, well, I'm having an easier time building muscle, so that's what I'm going to do. I want to build muscle, right? So when I first really started like training heavy, I wanted a bigger chest, shoulders, arms, back. That's what I wanted, build muscle. But right, my training purpose is to lift heavy and awkwardly shaped objects. That's what I want my body to be able to do. Obviously, my training result, I would like my muscles to get bigger, right? And also I want to be leaner, but that has nothing to do with training because you know what training actually means, right? So that's why I'm saying I want to build more muscle, right? But my training purpose, what I want my body to be able to do, I want my body to lift up heavy objects that are also awkwardly shaped, like in strongman competitions. When I first saw it, I was like, man, this is freaking awesome. Like they are strong, like for real. Like those guys, they are strong. So I want to be able to do stuff like that. All right. So my training regime is going to resemble stuff like that. And in the past, like before Revelation Nation became what it was, that's what my training regime resembled. I was having fun all the time. I enjoyed it and I was still moving forward and all that kind of stuff. Let me give you an example of someone who did not have their training purpose resembled in their training regime. My wife, long while ago, she wanted to get in better shape. Okay. And so we went to the gym. We did like the classic strength exercises, like the chest press, the shoulder press, the rows, and all. So she was improving her strength, all that kind of stuff, right? After a month, she was like, Cornelius, I'm done. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just done. I don't feel like it. I don't like it. I don't want to do it anymore. And so I'm like, what the heck is going on? What is the problem? Right. And so then come to find out, her training purpose, I didn't have that term back then. This is before Revelation Nation. This is before when I started to challenge my own education and find out what these things really mean. Okay. So come to find out, her training purpose was more like Ninja Warrior stuff. She wanted her body to like go through obstacles and rock climb and all that kind of stuff. That's what she wanted her body to be able to do. So now it's clear, right? The training regime, obviously she was going to hate it. Not because it wasn't a good regime, not because of that, right? It's because her training purpose was not being resembled or represented in the training regime. That's why she didn't enjoy it, right? So that's why some of you guys, you have your own training regime and all that kind of stuff, and you hate it. You hate it. It's because you're not doing what you want your body to be able to do. That's what's going on. You see what I'm saying? So what you want to do is think about, what do you want your body to be able to do? And let that be your training regime. See, if you come to someone and you say, I want to train to lose weight, well, now the trainer, they're going to make a training regime based off of what they are experts within. We are experts within training, right? Now, if someone is a strength trainer, guess what they're going to make you do? Strength training. If they are a conditioning trainer, guess what they're going to do? They're going to make you go through conditioning. Whatever health and fitness goal you have, it doesn't matter. They're going to make a regime that is going to be suited toward their expertise, which is training within their certain sort of expertise. That's what's going to go on. You see what I'm saying? That's what's going to go on. So if you want to train to lose weight, you are gambling your chances of being successful. That's what's going on. All right. So you have to know what training actually means. So that way you can have longevity and actually enjoy it. When you train to lose weight, you may not enjoy it. You may not have fun. Right? What I'm doing with my steps of progression, I'm having fun with what I'm doing. I have fun. And everyone else who's a part of the Revelation Nation community, they're having fun. They are having fun, and they're still moving forward. They're seeing great results, all that kind of stuff. But it's not because they're following a program. This is not a program. This is not, and you're going to know what it is later on down the road, like what it really is later on down the road in this video. It's not like this program, whatever. No, we're doing and we're living and making decisions based off of what these terms actually mean. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. So you got to know what these terms actually mean. All right. So yeah, big thing that a trainer will not tell you. Will not tell you. So now let's go back to the health tree diagram. Let's go over some other terms. All right. So let me share my screen again. And hopefully by now you can see the screen. So we've gone over the stress side, right? Oh, let me click here. All right, so we've gone over the stress side. Now let's go over the recovery side. All right, so when it comes to your health, you have to ensure that the recovery side is stronger than the stress side. Okay, so you can train, you can have hobbies, you can do recreation, you can have all these different types of stress, right? You can do all that kind of stuff. You just got to make sure that the recovery is stronger than the stress. Hold on one second. I'm gonna turn my Wi-Fi off because my video started glitching a little bit, and maybe it's because of the Wi-Fi. Let me turn that off. There we go. Okay, so when it comes to recovery, if I go down here, you have three components. These are the three components that help support your body. All right, really your metabolic engine, but I haven't gone over that term yet. I'm going to go over it soon though. Okay, so recovery is everything that is supportive of your body. All right, your metabolic engine. So you have nutrition, hydration, and sleep. Okay, this is the reason why some of you guys have probably heard, okay, you have to drink water if you want to lose weight. Okay, and other people say, no, you don't have to drink water to lose weight. And then some people drinking water and they're losing weight. And Some people aren't really focused on that and they're losing weight too. It's like, which one do I do? Now you know why. Hydration is only one of the components of recovery. So some people, they are missing this component, right? And that's why it's helping them, because they're missing this component. And if they're missing that component, they're not getting full recovery. Some people, they're getting this component, right? But they're not getting the other ones. And that's why they're not having recovery. So that's why you have two different sides saying drink water to lose weight. And some people say you don't have to drink water to lose weight. It's funny because they're saying something and they're right and wrong at the same time. It's only because hydration is only one of the components of recovery. You've also heard that you have to get some sleep. You've heard that before. But everyone knows that sleep is not the only thing that you have to do. And when it comes to nutrition, this is the biggest component. The biggest component is nutrition. And everyone knows that. Everyone knows that when it comes to any health and fitness goal, deep down, you know that if your nutrition sucks, sorry for lack of a better word, but if your nutrition sucks, it does not matter what your health and fitness goal is, you're not going to get there. It is because nutrition is the biggest component of recovery. So if you don't have nutrition, you're not going to get the fullness of recovery. But the problem is, what you guys have been told about nutrition is, once again, only the simplified version. All right. When it comes to recovery, the simplified version of recovery is nutrition. Remember, like the simplified version of this entire health tree is, it's all training and nutrition. And now you're seeing that it's not just training and nutrition. There are other terms you have to understand in order to make a prudent choice, a prudent decision based off of where you are currently in your health and fitness journey. You see what I'm saying? So you have to understand what all these components actually are. All right, so let's go to sleep and hydration. This is simple. You have the minimum and maximum. Stuff that you've heard before, right? The minimum amount of water and the maximum amount of water, all that kind of stuff. So I'm just trying to show you that these are the components of recovery. But now let's go into nutrition. You see here, first, nutrition has two sides, quality and quantity. Now I'm going to stop sharing my screen with you because I'm going to show you or go over one of the biggest pet peeves I have about the health and fitness industry. Okay. And one thing that trainers do not tell you, every single time I've told this to anyone, whether they've had a trainer or not, or whatever, they've never heard this. Okay. So I don't care what any professional tells you. I don't care what any trainer tells you. And you trainers who are listening, right, you know that this is true, what I'm saying. Even though most of you probably would not say it, you know it's true. Nutrition has two sides. It has quality and quantity. It has both sides. You cannot have just quantity and forget the quality. I used to work for someone who wholeheartedly believed that it was just quantity. All right. You didn't really have to worry about it. It was just your calories. That nutrition simplified was simply calories. No. Most of you guys don't even know what calories mean. And you don't know that calories actually have several different definitions. You don't even know that. Okay. So for you guys in the general public, you understand that with the simplified version, it's very easy for things to be misrepresented. We went over huge examples with that with health and training, right? But now you have to understand that this simplified version did not only affect the general public, it also affected some professionals. There are some professionals who are also in this 10%. They are stuck within this 10%. So what do they end up doing? They end up giving you that 10%. How do I know that's true? I did the same exact thing. I would tell people, oh, just get your calories, just get your calories, blah, 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 blah. I was stuck in the simplified version. So that's what I end up giving to clients. And then clients end up telling that to all their other people, all their friends and all that kind of stuff. So this, I don't want to say virus, but at least in my point of view, this virus spreads. This disease of the simplified version of the health and fitness industry spreads. All right. And so it pisses me off because I was one of those people who could not survive only knowing 10% of the rules. But that's all I was hearing. All I was hearing. And I had to do all this work to figure out, okay, what is it that's not being said? I had to read between the lines. And then I found out what was really going on here. The problem though was, how do you organize it? That's why I spent so long making this freaking health tree diagram and steps of progression, blah, 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 trying to help you guys understand. Here are all the basic terms that you have to understand, and this is how they all really link up. But my point is, even some professionals, they are stuck in this 10%. I've seen it. I know trainers who do this kind of stuff. They say things like, oh, you can train all you want. That's great to train, but you got to get your portions under control. I'm like, oh my gosh, no, that's still quantity. That has nothing to do with quality. You have to have both sides. You have to have both sides. Now, why do you have to have both sides? Number one, you already believe that. You guys who want to be leaner or build muscle, blah, 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 you know it's not just quantity. You know that. All right. So I'm going to throw you some things that will make you question what you've been seeing to let you know that there is more to the story. All right. You've heard with nutrition, the simplified version is simply calories. It's all about calories, right? You've heard that. But if we look at these people who have amazing physiques, and if we look at the food that they're eating, are they eating tons and tons and tons of junk food? No. And if it's true that it's all about calories, which is what we all have heard, it's all about calories. If that's true, I know some like highly recognized trainers, right? Highly recognized trainers who would tell you, oh yeah, it's definitely all about your calories. It's all about your calories. If that is true, see, I'm going to challenge it, and you have to challenge it too. If it is true, if it is 100% true, then how come, or sorry, not how come, if it's 100% true, then that means for me to be at like 10% body fat or like lose all this fat, I can have cookies, I can have Oreo cookies, I can have any kind McDonald's cookies, I can have ice cream, I can have pizza, I can have all the junk food in the world, I can only eat junk food, and I will have the body of my dreams. Hell no. Hell no, that's not going to happen. And everybody knows that's not true. Notice, I didn't say something like, oh, I was going to like maybe lose a pound or two. I didn't say lose weight. Most of you guys don't even know what the word weight actually means. I'm going to go into that a little bit later. Let me first calm down because this kind of stuff gets me hyped up. But we know that's not true. For our dream physique, no, that's not true at all. At all. Do you see like these actors or bodybuilders? Are they eating tons of like just junk food and that they're only eating junk food? No, they're not. So how is it just about calories? If it was true, that means you watching, if you want to be leaner, that phrase that it's all about calories means that you can just eat pizza. Just eat pizza. Just eat pizza, nothing else. And I challenge any trainer in the world, I challenge them to only eat pizza, and stay within whatever their calories, whatever are, and see after like 2 years to see they still have the same exact physique. No, that's not going to happen. And we know that's not going to happen because nutrition is not just about calories. And most people, you don't know what calories fully mean, and you don't know what weight fully means. All right. So let me see. Do I want to explain to you? Let me explain to you what the word weight actually means and how some people will take advantage of you if you don't know what this word actually means. When people say, I want to lose weight, what do they really mean? They mean, I want to lose fat. Weight does not equal fat. You have to know that. All right. Weight does not equal fat. Weight is the sum of your fat, your muscle, your bones, your blood, any sort of gases that you have, and water. Pretty much everything in your body. All right. Everything in your body added together, right? That is total weight. So you have to understand that, because if you tell someone, hey, I want to lose weight, some people will take advantage of you. I used to work for someone, told me this, Cornelius, if the client wants to lose weight, you are solely going to focus on the number on that scale. And I'm like, Well, what if they're losing weight, but what if they're getting worse? They're actually going away. Is it doesn't matter. If that's their goal, we're gonna focus on the number on the scale. And so I'm like, in my head, I'm like, wait, so you're okay with taking advantage of the fact that they don't know what that word actually means? You're okay with the fact that they don't know that they could lose weight and look worse, or they could gain weight and look better? You're taking advantage of that? You're taking advantage of that. Like, you're a professional. Isn't that unethical? Isn't that unethical to take advantage of someone who does not know what that word actually means? Okay, so if you have the mindset of losing weight and you associate weight with fat, where you're like weight equals fat, right? You're gonna go on the scale and see it go down. But if it goes down, that doesn't mean that you've lost fat. Your fat mass, your fat mass can stay the same. Water, bones, blood, everything can stay the same, but muscle has gone down. If muscle has gone down and everything else has stayed the same, guess what? You have lost weight. Overall, you have lost weight. You see what I'm saying? But you are losing muscle, which means you're going to look fatter because you have less muscle mass, right? So it's going to look like you have more fat mass. So you're not going to look how you want to look. You're actually going away from the picture that you have inside your head. See, that's where it starts. You have a picture inside of your head about how you want your body to look. That's your dream physique. But what the mind ends up doing is it associates. It tries to find something tangible that it can associate the picture to, so that way it can measure it. So it uses the scale. But if you have a smaller frame inside of your head, that doesn't mean you need a smaller number on the scale. And you professionals, you trainers, you know that's true. You know that's 100% true. And like I have like plenty of friends who are trainers who are like, yeah, they are advocates of that. They don't use the scale because it's not advantageous to the picture inside of your head. But you guys who are part of the general public, you have to know what weight actually means, because there are some professionals out there, someone I used to work for, who will take advantage of the fact that you don't know what that word actually means. You could be losing weight and you look worse. Okay. What if you're improving your health and all that kind of stuff, right? Your muscle increases, your fat decreases, your water intake increases because maybe you're training and you need some more water. So your water intake has increased and everything else, the remainder has stayed the same. Well, if muscle and water have gone up and the increase is higher, a higher amount than the decrease of fat mass, well, your overall weight has gone up. So you may look at the scale and be like, oh, I'm gaining fat. No, you're not. You actually lost fat. You see what I'm saying? That's what happens when you have this simplified version. Instead of us telling you what weight fully means, we just said weight. No. And there's a reason why I believe, right? There's a reason why I believe you're always hearing weight loss, weight loss, weight loss, weight loss, right? And I believe I'll go over why I believe you're only hearing weight, 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 weight. Okay. But the point is, you have to know what that term actually means. All right, so I explained that, and there was something else I wanted to go over. I'm not going to go over calories just yet, but now I'm going to go over something that absolutely, I'm not going to go over what calories mean, but now I'm going to go over something that no trainer, 100%, no trainer would ever tell you. No trainer would ever tell you. All right. So, us trainers, we are not allowed to tell you what foods to eat. Legally, we are not allowed to do that. I, being a certified personal trainer, as well as a corrective exercise specialist through NASM, the National Academy of Sports Medicine, I cannot tell you eat strawberries. I can't do that. I can't tell you to eat a banana. I can't do that. The only ones who are legally allowed to tell you what foods specifically to eat, like prescribe you foods, are dietitians. Like doctors, they are legally allowed to prescribe you medicine. But trainers, nutritionists, and dietitians, we are not legally allowed to prescribe you medicine, right? When it comes to doctors, they legally are not allowed to prescribe you certain foods, right? Only dietitians are legally allowed to do that, to prescribe foods. All right. So what are trainers allowed to tell you? Okay. Trainers are only allowed to tell you calories. I can literally give you my NASM textbook and we can go over the nutrition section together. And this is what you're gonna, oh, it's all about calories, it's all about calories, all about calories. So that's what all of us trainers, we're it's ingrained in us to be like, oh, it's all about calories, all about calories, all about. So I don't really blame the person I used to work for because we are ingrained in it. We both had NASM. So we are ingrained in it. But you have to realize once you say, okay, trainers are only legally allowed to tell you calories, shouldn't that be like a light bulb? Like, wait. If trainers are only legally allowed to tell me calories, if they can only tell me calories, that means there's something that they can't tell me, right? You see what I'm saying? There's something that they can't tell me. So now you see the simplified version, calories, that's what trainers are allowed to tell you. But that means there's something they're not allowed to tell you. And that thing that they're not allowed to tell you is the quality side. So that's why nutrition, just like you've always believed and everyone pretty much talks about, nutrition does have two sides, quality and quantity. But you are only hearing the quantity side, and the simplified version of quantity is calories, but that means way more, and we're going to go into it later. But you only hear calories because trainers are only legally allowed to tell you calories. So first you have a goal and you look at the four different professions: doctors, trainers, nutritionists, dietitians, and which one are you going to pick? You're going to pick a trainer because they look like how you would want to look, right? So what's the first thing they're going to make you do, right? You say you want to lose, let's say you say you want to lose fat, right? You know it's about nutrition, right? You know it's about nutrition. So when you go to a trainer, excuse me, you go to a trainer, what's the first thing they do? I asked it to my friend Josh the other day. I went through it with him. I was like, here's what's so crazy, right? You know that nutrition is needed for you to lose the fat, right? So you go to a trainer. What's the first thing that they do? What's the first thing? What do you end up doing? Training. It's like, wait, it goes against everything. You know it's the nutrition side. So how come when you go to the trainer, you're like, oh, well, it's all about training. Like now you know why you're looking at someone and you think, oh, that's what I end up having to do, but you don't know what we are experts in. That's why when it comes to any of your health and fitness goals, no matter what it is, we are going to make you train because that's what we're experts in. But you have to know what training actually is to know if you need a trainer or somebody else. If someone comes to me and say, I want to lose fat, then you don't need training. You're not training for something. You're not trying to get ready for something. You're not trying to get ready to be on stage or perform an activity or whatever. So there's no need for training. There's no need for training. So no trainer's going to tell you that because what ends up happening is we lose 80 to 90% of our clientele. We lose them. 80 to 90% of everyone who is on a health and fitness journey, they want to lose fat. They want to lose fat, right? But when it comes to the trainers, right, we try to find a way to tap into that market. So we had to find something that would kind of connect to their goal. And so what ends up happening, we found out about calories and the caloric deficit, and it kind of connected to their goal, sort of, where people were losing weight. But you know what weight actually means. People were losing weight and they were getting happy. And now you know why people were getting happy, right? So you can see how people were getting happy, but some people get worse and blah, blah, blah. It's all because we don't know what these terms actually mean. So you go to the trainer and you know it's about nutrition, but the first thing they do is make you train. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. But now you know why. It's what we're experts in. And then when it comes to nutrition, which is something that you know you need, you always hear it's all about calories. But now you know why. It's the only thing that we're legally allowed to tell you about. You may also hear, oh, it's all about your macros. And then you're like, well, I thought it was all about calories. Someone else says it's all about macros. I'm going to go into why they are both right and wrong at the same time a little bit later. But that's the reason why you only hear calories. But if I told you we are only allowed to tell you calories, that means there is more to nutrition than just calories. There's more to nutrition than quantity, quality. All right. So that was all just to prove to you that nutrition does indeed have two sides. Does indeed have two sides. And now you're kind of, hopefully you're kind of questioning things that you've been taught like all your life and all that kind of stuff, and understanding some of the things that trainers honestly would never tell you, would never, ever, ever tell you. All right. There's one more that I'm going to tell you that's going to blow your mind and explain really like the full reason why you would never hear this and why trainers would never tell you this, because they would lose pretty much almost every single one of their clients, almost every single one of their clients. Okay. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the health tree diagram, and we're going to go back to nutrition being quality and quantity. So let's go back. Okay. So nutrition, quality and quantity. First thing we're going to go over is the quality side. Okay. So this is the side that we cannot tell you about. We can't tell you specifically what foods to eat. All right. We cannot do that legally. But you have to know that quality really, well, let me say this. Trainers, we kind of get around it, like telling you what to eat without telling you what to eat by giving you like meal plans, but that's sort of illegal, or giving you maybe some suggestions, or telling you, here's a big one. We tell you what we would do if we were in your shoes. So at no point in time, we never specifically said, eat this. And you may say, okay, well, goodness, how come you can only tell me calories? How come you can't tell me to eat strawberries? Here's the reason why. If I told you to eat strawberries and you were allergic to strawberries and you had an allergic reaction, you could sue me. So that's why trainers cannot tell you specifically what foods to eat. It's to protect us legally. Okay. So that's why we can't tell you that kind of stuff. But what we can do is tell you the philosophy, or their nutrition philosophy, or whatever. I'm going to tell you pretty much what quality actually is, what quality really is. You can see here, you have lean greens and non-lean greens. I'll get into the non-lean greens a little bit later when I talk about the metabolic engine. I still haven't talked about that yet, but I want to make sure I get all my ducks in a row before I talk about that. But when it comes to lean greens, here's my philosophy. If you want to have the body you were always designed to have, you were always designed to be lean, which means low levels of fat mass. You were always designed to have muscle. You were always designed to be strong. You were always designed to do this. And why were you designed to do this? You were designed so that way you could survive the environments that you were in. Okay. So if you want to have the body you were always designed to have, you got to have the foods you were always designed to eat. Now, if you are a Christian, if you believe in God and all that, right? You should know this 100%, right? The body that we were always designed to have, right? Whether you believe in God or not, you know that we were always designed to be lean, have like lower levels of body fat percentages, to be strong, to have muscle. We were designed to have that so that we could endure the environment that we were in, right? That's why we have the bodies that we have, right? But if you want to be able to endure the environment that you're in, you have to have the foods that were provided to us. Now, if you are a believer in Christ, you're going to know that God, our Father, He gave us the fruits, the vegetables, and the clean source of protein. He gave us those foods. But even if you're not a believer in God, you know that the best foods for the human body are the foods that the earth provided. You see what I'm saying? So if you want to have the body you were always designed to have, you got to have the foods you were always designed to eat. We were always designed, no matter what you believe, we were always designed to eat the foods the earth provided. All right. And now you may say, well, what are those foods? We have fruits, vegetables, and clean sources of protein. Now, when it comes to clean sources of protein, what do I mean by that? For some people, some of you guys, you're animal, you eat animal meat, right? But some of you guys, you may be vegetarian or maybe vegan, right? And either one is fine. But when I say clean sources of protein, right, you can have animal meat, all right? We are designed to be able to consume and be fine with animal meat. And if you're vegan or vegetarian, you have protein powders, protein bars, stuff like that. You have supplementation, right? So that's why I said clean sources of protein, because not everyone's going to eat animal meat, right? But the point is, if you have the foods that you were designed to consume, you will have the body you were always designed to have. And you all know that this is true because if you look at every single nutrition system out there, now you'll never be tricked or fooled by a marketing strategy or whatever. You're never going to be BS'd. Look at every single nutrition system out there, every single one, and then look at the foods. What are the foods? They're going to be fruits, vegetables, and clean sources of protein. If I go back to the guy I used to work for, right? He was an advocate. Calories in, calories out, calories in, calories out. My man had a meal prep service, and every single meal had a good bit of protein, right? And tons of vegetables. I didn't really see him eat fruit, but good bit of vegetables and good bit of clean sources of protein, right? That was every single meal. My man had the quality. He had a great physique. He had the quality. And he also had the quantity. He was giving his body the foods we were always designed to eat, and he was giving his body enough of it. So it wasn't just calories, because if it was just calories, that means he could just eat Oreos all the time, right? And that's not true. He wasn't going to have the body that he had, right, if he just ate Oreos all the time. Everyone knows that. But now you know why you only hear quantity. Now you know why. And now when you look at every single nutrition system out there, you're going to see the same exact foods all the time. Every single one of them has the same exact foods, fruits, vegetables, and clean sources of protein. That's it. So instead of trying to say stuff like, oh, well, you got to eat within this time frame, or you have to have more fat, blah, blah, blah. Instead of doing all these different diets, how about you just know what your body needs, and you just increase in those foods based off of what is realistic to you. That's it. Like that's it. That's all you need. That's all you need, right? Now, some of you guys may say, okay, well, Cornelius, does that mean I can never have anything? Like I can't have pizza, I can't have Oreos, I can't. No, there's a reason why you can also still have non-lean greens and people still have amazing physiques, like The Rock, right? The Rock, he has like a, in a sense, cheat meal. I don't like to use the word cheat, but he has a cheat meal, right? Tons of non-lean greens, right? But he still has an amazing physique. Now, some of you guys may say, oh, it's because he's working it off, blah, 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 blah. That's not true. That's not what's going on. If you understand what health and fitness really is, you know that he's training for a role or he's training for a specific purpose. But when it comes to his body fat percentages and it comes to him being able to endure the stress of him training, that's all recovery, and nutrition being the biggest component of recovery. The question is, though, how come he can eat those non-lean ingredients? Well, when you look at his nutrition, which is the foundation of quality, the lean ingredients or the non-lean ingredients? Which is the foundation? The lean ingredients. See, that's what you need. You need the foundation of your nutrition quality to be lean and greens. Doesn't mean you can never have a non-lean and green. People who are you guys who are part of the Revelation Nation community, right? You guys are still like my own Pam, like she loves pasta. She's still having pasta, right? I also eat pizza. I also have cookies. I'll still have this. And if you've seen my previous videos with my body measurements, not my scale weight, right? Even though I'll show you my scale weight, but if you look at my body measurements and see where I carry the most fat is primarily my stomach and secondarily my chest, you'll see the body measurements are going down, right? I am going through the steps of progression and moving forward, for lack of a better phrase, in the light, understanding what these terms really mean, and then organizing in the way where I can move forward based off of what is realistic to me. My aunt Pam, she's moving forward based off of what is realistic to her. My wife Samantha, she's moving forward based on what's realistic to her, right? And the newest member, Reese, she's moving forward based on what is realistic to her. Everyone, we're all moving forward based on what is realistic to us because we know what these terms really mean. And now we can make a choice based off of what is realistic to us, that's advantageous to us. But my point being is that with The Rock, his foundation for nutrition is lean and green. He's eating tons of lean and greens, tons of lean and greens. And the next time you look at a nutrition system or someone saying, oh, this is what this person eats and blah, 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 you're going to see tons of lean and greens. You may see some non-lean and greens, but you're going to see the foundation is lean and green, which is fruits, vegetables, and clean sources of protein. All right. Now, I said to you guys, I can't tell you what food specifically to eat. But if you're wondering how to improve with your lean and greens, you just have to improve with these 3 categories based off of what is realistic to you. Okay. And I'm going to go over that kind of stuff in the steps of progression video, which I'm going to make later on. I'm not going to go over the steps of progression in this video because the video is already long enough. All right. It's already long enough. But we increase in these categories based off of what is realistic to us, based off of the fruits that we enjoy, based off the vegetables that we like to eat, and the clean sources of protein that we like to eat, right? Each person is different. Everybody has different fruits, vegetables, and clean sources of protein that they like to eat. So everything is realistic toward what they want to eat. And they build that lean and green foundation based off of what's realistic to them, okay? So that is the quality side of nutrition, all right? That's the quality side. Now, when it comes to nutrition, you have to also have the quantity. You know why you always hear quantity. I told you this, right? But now let's understand what quantity really means. The simplified version is quantity means calories, but that's no, way more to it, okay? Quantity is about your nutrients, okay? Nutrients, you have 2 types. You have micronutrients and you have macronutrients, all right? Your micronutrients are the vitamins and the minerals, all right? Your macronutrients are your proteins, carbs, and your fats, all right? And then down here, you see I said calories equal proteins plus carbs plus fats. Now, you guys who are actual professionals, you guys who are trainers, as well as nutritionists and dietitians, you know total calories is the sum of your macronutrients. All right. But it's important for you guys in the general public to understand what calories actually mean. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. I'm gonna go over something, the last thing that trainers definitely would not say. But if you questioned it, it'd be like, oh yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all. It doesn't make any sense at all. All right. So let me get rid of this thing. Okay. So the first thing, let's go over metabolism. Okay. Metabolism was one of those terms that got misrepresented. All right. Some of you guys watching, you may say, oh yeah, I know what metabolism is. Metabolism is what converts food to energy. Yes, you are right. That's the simplified version. But we have to understand the full definition to understand what's really going on here. All right. Now, some of you guys may say that metabolism is the sum of all the processes that your body has to go through. Every single process your body has to go through, that is metabolism. Yes, but there's more to it. The last part of this definition is that metabolism is the sum of every single process that your body has to go through in order to keep you alive. That last part, to keep you alive, is extremely important. Remember that. Remember that. All right. It's to keep you alive. So your heart beating, your lungs doing their job, your gallbladder, your pancreas, your everything added together is metabolism. Everything added together to make sure that you stay alive, right? That is your metabolism. Your metabolism is the engine of your body. Just like your car's engine is the engine of the car, your metabolism is the engine of our body. And I swear to you, everything that you would do in order to take care of your car's engine, it's the same with your metabolic engine. Same thing. We can use the car engine as an analogy, and everything's going to make way more sense about health and fitness. Everything will make way more sense when you understand that your metabolism is an engine. All right. So when it comes to health, you know 2 components: recovery and stress. All right. Recovery is what builds up, like supports the metabolic engine. And why do you need recovery? So that way your body, your engine, can endure the stress of you using it or of you using your body. Just like with your car. You have to make sure you take care of your car's engine so that way your engine can endure the stress of you driving it. Now, when it comes to your car's engine, if you are stressing your car's engine out so much and you are not taking care of your car's engine, what happens? The health of the engine goes down and the engine ends up breaking down and you're not going to be able to drive the car, right? The engine gets worse and the overall performance of the car gets worse. Same thing with our body, right? If the stress of the engine is stronger than the recovery of our metabolic engine, our health goes down and we go away from our health and fitness goals. So you got to take care of the engine, just like you would take care of your car's engine. All right. Now, with your recovery of your car's engine, right? You have to make sure that you are always giving everything that your engine needs. Everything that your engine needs. Oil, transmission fluid, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff, right? That's kind of like the nutrition of your car's engine. You also have to give your car's engine coolant, right? For our metabolic engine, what's the coolant? Water. I'm going to explain why water is the coolant of your metabolic engine based off of what calories fully mean, okay? But just right now, know that water is the coolant of your metabolic engine. Now, for your car's engine, could you just drive your car 24/7 all the time, no problem, and never give it a rest? Never give it a rest and it would always be fine? No. At some point, you got to give your car's engine a rest. It's got to just take a break. Same thing with our metabolic engine. It needs a break. What would that be? Sleep. Sleep is the only component of recovery in which there is absolutely no stress. You see what I'm saying? So just like with your car's engine, you have stress and you have to take care of it. Same thing with our metabolic engine. You have to take care of it. And we take care of our metabolic engine through recovery, which is nutrition, hydration, and sleep. Okay? So metabolism, understand that it's an engine and everything's going to make way, way, way more sense. All right? Now, when it comes to nutrition and the simplified version being calories and all that kind of stuff, right? You may wonder, okay, Cornelius, how do we find out how many calories we have to have? How do you guys find that out? First, it starts off with your BMR. Some of you guys may know what that is. Your base metabolic rate. All right. Now, some of you trainers, I hope you trainers are also listening because you may be like I was, stuck in the simplified version, and then things get misrepresented. And some clients, maybe they see some success, but other ones, they're not seeing success and they're getting upset and all that kind of stuff. And this is the reason why. They're working their butt off. They are, for the most part, they're working their butt off, but they don't know the full story, right? And maybe it's because you were like me, not really engaged in the full story, not really questioning what we were taught, even though we had some beliefs. It's like, wait, some of this stuff doesn't make any sense, right? We didn't question it. So I hope you're listening because you got to question it so that way you see the full story. So base metabolic rate. Base metabolic rate, what we were told, trainers, we were told, and you were probably also told, it's the minimum amount of calories that your body burns at rest. That's what we were told, all right? But the problem with that is how it makes you think, all right? Now, the way that we find that out is by a simple calculation. Now, remember I said that. We found out your base metabolic rate by a simple math calculation, all right? All right, it's going to go into like how I'm going to finish off one of the biggest things that trainers don't talk about, and it makes no sense about why we don't do this. But anyway, that's what base metabolic rate was told, or how it was told. It's the minimum amount of calories that the body burns at rest. So we do the calculation. Let's say for you it's 2,000 calories. All right. What is your mindset going to be? You're going to think, okay, no matter what I do, I'm going to burn 2,000 calories at least. If I just sleep, I'm going to burn 2,000 calories. All right. And then we have something called TDEE, at least with NASM. You guys who have NASM, you know what that is, the total daily energy expenditure. All right. That means how much energy you're going to expend based off of your daily activities. Like if you walk to work or you take a bike or what, based on everything you're doing after you sleep. Like when you wake up until you go to sleep, right? How much energy are you expending in that time frame? We have to account for that. And there's another math calculation for that, right? So let's say we do your TDEE and we find out it's 2,500, all right? You're not training, you're not doing any sort of extracurricular activities. You're just waking up, you're going to work, coming home, maybe helping your kids with homework, all that kind of stuff. You're doing that, and then you go to sleep, right? And repeat the same thing the next day, right? So your TDEE, let's just say, is 2,500, okay? Now let's say your goal is to lose fat. You want to lose some fat. Well, what is the most common phrase that all you guys have heard when it comes to weight loss? Keyword weight loss. I didn't say fat loss. When it comes to weight loss, calories in, calories out. The caloric deficit. That's what you've heard. You have to be eating less than how much your body is burning, right? I'm also going to go over where we get the term burn as well later on when I explain all the different definitions of calories. But anyway, the caloric deficit, you have to be consuming less than how much your body is burning. So your BMR 2000, all right, your TDEE is 2,500, and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to burn at least 2,000 calories no matter what, and I want to lose some weight. So let's say I'm going to eat 1,500 calories. That makes sense, right? You're going to burn 2,000 calories every single day. No matter what, you're going to burn 2,000 calories every single day. So if you eat 1,500, you're always going to be in a deficit of 500. If you keep on doing that, you'll just keep on losing weight all the time, right? Reasonable, right? But how many of us have done exactly that? Or maybe you've gone below your TDEE, right? Because some of you guys who are trainers, you may say, "Oh, no, they weren't training enough. They got to train more." I actually know one of my an old trainer of mine. He didn't train me, but one of my friends who's also a trainer, he made a post not that long ago, and was like talking about nutrition a little bit. But he was like, "You also got to get outside. You got to be active. You got to move. You got to do all this kind of stuff." I'm not trying to make fun of him, but he just said all this stuff, and I'm like, "Oh no, that's not what's going on here," because that's just going to add towards your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure. So if you train more, let's say your TDEE is at 3,000. You may say, okay, well, I'm going to be burning 3,000 calories every single day. So I'm going to eat 2,500 and I'll be in a 500 calorie deficit and I'll lose, what is it? Yeah, 3,500 calories every single week. So I'll pretty much be losing a pound every single week. But you see what I'm saying? And it sounds reasonable, right? It sounds reasonable. But how many of us have done exactly that? And maybe we saw some change on the scale, but now you know what that actually means, and you know the blind spots with the scale. We saw some change on the scale, but then we ended up getting worse. The weight plateaued, or we even gained some fat. Notice I didn't say weight, I said fat. All right, right? We gained some fat. It's like, what? How the hell does that happen? That's what happened to me. It's exactly what happened to me. I had no idea. No, I kept cutting my calories more and more and more. And it's like, what the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? And so some of you have probably experienced the same exact thing where you're doing exactly what you've been told to do and you're getting worse. It's like, how the hell is that happening? Okay. It's because we don't know what the word metabolism fully means. Because if you understood what it fully meant, you will understand what BMR fully means. And it would change how you think about your BMR. So remember, metabolism. Remember that last phrase I said, remember? I said that it was all to keep you alive. The sum of everything your body has to go through in order to keep you alive. Okay? Now let's go back to BMR, your base metabolic rate. It's the minimum amount of calories that your body needs in order to keep you alive. Doesn't that change how you think about it? Because if I said you need 2,000 calories in order to stay alive, does it make sense to go down to 1,500? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Because now you are risking dying. You see what I'm saying? Because you're giving your body less of what it needs at a minimum. Let's go back to the car. Let's say you say, all right, I want my car's engine to be the best engine in the world. I want my car's performance to be at peak performance, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give my car less oil. I'm going to give my car less transmission fluid. I'm going to give my car less of everything it needs, and it's going to be better. No, it makes no sense. It makes no sense at all to give your body less of what it needs, and it will perform better. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. See, that's That's what ends up happening when you end up thinking that your goal is to get leaner. You don't understand that your goal is health, and you don't understand what health actually means, which means you don't do what's necessary to build your health. And if you don't build your health, you don't reach your health and fitness goals. You see what I'm saying? You see how this simplified version is screwing with so many people. And I was one of those people. Right? So that's why this is so important for me to make this full-on video, to go through this health tree diagram, so that way you can understand really what's going on behind the curtain. All right, so base metabolic rate is the minimum amount of calories that your body needs in order to stay alive. All right, so with that being said, now let's go into one thing. Or should I go into calories? Yes, I'm going to go into calories. It's the minimum amount of calories that your body needs in order to stay alive. Now, some of you guys, you've heard the term calories and you believe you know what it means fully. You believe you know what it means fully. And honestly, I don't blame you, because you've heard it over and over and over and over and over again. So you end up believing, okay, I've heard it like a million times, so I know what it is, right? I talked about this with my friend Josh the other day, and I said, yeah, when it comes to calories, people believe they know what it is. And he said, yeah, calories are energy, right? It's energy, right? And I said, yes, but that's not it. That's not it. It has several different definitions, and the definition will change depending on the context of the situation. Okay. And so if you are using the definition for the wrong situation, chances are, well, not chances, you're going to be using it the wrong way, which means you're going to make a choice that's not advantageous for you to move forward. All right. So you have to know what calories fully mean. You have to know the different definitions to know what you're really talking about based off of the situation that you're in. Okay. So let's go over calories. All right. So everyone has heard the phrase, for the most part, everyone has heard the phrase calories in, calories out. If you want to lose weight, I didn't say fat, you want to lose weight, you have to eat less than what you burn. All right, you have to eat less than what you burn. Now, before I go into why the phrase calories in and calories out came about, I'm gonna go about talking about why people are losing weight, right? But they're getting worse. Okay, so let's say your BMR or your TDEE, whatever it is, let's say it's 2,000, and you say I'm gonna eat 1,500. So at first you have a deficit of 500. Okay. Now, at first, why do people end up seeing some sort of results? Because you may be saying that, well, Cornelius, I've done it and I've been seeing some results. So it's kind of hard for me to believe you, because I'm actually seeing some change. So I'm going to explain why you're seeing a change. All right. Nutrition is a communication system between you and the environment that you're in. Okay. Your body has to adapt to whatever environment you're in. All right. So when it comes to how many calories are coming into your body, you are telling your body that this is how much you need in order to stay alive. Okay. If you keep on giving it 2,000, right, this is how much the body needs in order to stay alive. Now, you do have a base metabolic rate based off of your height and your size and all that kind of stuff, right? But you now know that that's how many calories you need in order to stay alive. All right. But anyway, 2,000, but you're eating 500. Because your body still believes that you need 2,000 calories to stay alive, it's going to try to find the deficit of 500 somewhere in your body. Somewhere. It can come from the fat. It can come from muscle. It can do it from anything. Okay. So it's going to try to find the deficit, all right, of 500. But what ends up happening long term, short term, you may see some change on the scale, but now you know what the scale could possibly mean. But anyway, short term, you see some change, maybe, but long term, it's a problem. Why? Because if your body kept on giving you this deficit of 500, what would eventually happen? You would die. You would die. If it kept on giving you a deficit of 500 for the rest of your life, based off the definition of what people think base metabolic rate is the minimum amount of calories that your body burns at rest. You think that means you're going to think that you're going to burn 2,000 calories no matter what happens. And that's not true. Why? Because if your body kept on giving you 500 calories, eventually you would die. And that goes completely against what the metabolism's job is, to keep you alive. So if you are heading in the direction toward dying, right? What does your metabolic engine have to do? What does your body have to do? It has to adapt. If you keep giving it 1,500 calories, you are constantly telling your body that in this environment, you can survive with 1,500 calories. So if it keeps on giving 500, it's like, oh, I can't keep on doing this or else he's going to die. So what does it end up doing? Your engine ends up giving you 1,500. That's where the plateau comes from. Your engine has to slow down. And that's where we get the term slow metabolism. It's the fact that your engine is working less effectively and less efficiently. It's having a hard time processing everything that it has to process. It's processing everything at a slower rate. So instead of being 2,000, now it's going to meet you at 1,500. So that way you stay alive. But then if you're not at the weight, notice I said weight, I didn't say, the picture in your head. I didn't say that. If you're not at the weight you want to be, you're going to cut down even more. But the same thing happens. So that's what ends up happening, why people get worse and worse and worse and worse. They keep giving their body less and less and less of what their body needs. You can't keep giving your body less of what it needs and expect it to get better. It doesn't make any sense. If you talk to dietitians, right? Look at this guy, Dr. Goglia, I believe his name is. He was a dietitian for like tons of Marvel actors, all right? And this is where I really started to question my nutrition education. He would say things like, "You're not eating enough." I'm like, what? But now I understand why. If you are taking away the nutrients that your body needs, your body is not going to get what it needs in order to perform, in order to function. So your health goes down. Your health goes down. You see what I'm saying? Your health goes down. So I forget exactly why I want to talk about that first, but it's important for you to know. It's important for you to know. But yeah, we went through metabolism. Now let's go into calories. Okay. So you've heard the phrase calories in, calories out, right? So let's go over why that phrase is such a prominent thing and what it really means. So here's your metabolic engine. You have calories coming into the engine, and then you have calories coming out of the engine. All right. Calories coming into the engine. What does that actually mean? Calories coming into the engine: proteins, carbs, and fats. All right. The sum of your macronutrients equals total calories. Okay. So 1 gram of protein is 4 calories, 1 gram of carbs, 4 calories, 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. Okay. So if you add up all the nutrients, you get total calories. Okay. So it's not really calories in, it's really nutrients in. Now, some of you may say, okay, well, that's the same. It's still calories in. If you add up all the nutrients, it's still calories in. Here's the problem that people will end up facing if they think, oh, it's all about calories. Imagine with your car's engine, you were saying, okay, well, I'm just going to give my car's engine oil, and that's it, nothing else, and it will drive perfectly fine. It will drive at its max capacity. It will be fine. It'll be great. No. Why? Because your car's engine needs more than just oil. Same thing with our metabolic engine. Same thing. Some people, they're only getting carbs, or they're only getting protein, or they're only getting fats, or they're not getting enough of them, or they're not getting the best type of, they're not giving the engine what it needs. If you just think calories, you may not be giving the nutrient that your body needs. And if you don't give the body what it needs, the health goes down. You go away from your health and fitness goals. So you can't think, oh, it's just calories coming in. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because calories are the sum of your proteins, your carbs, and your fats. So you have to focus on those. Get the nutrients. Bring in the nutrients. All right. So it's nutrients in, not calories in. All right. So that's the first definition. Calories equal proteins plus carbs plus fats. That is the first definition. Then the nutrients go inside the metabolic engine, right? And then your engine starts to produce heat. just like with your car's engine. Takes the oil, the transmission fluid, and all that kind of stuff, and it starts to produce heat, right? But with our metabolic engine, calories are a unit of heat production. That's the second definition, all right? That's where we get the term burning calories, okay? But you're not really burning calories, it's how much heat your body is producing. So your metabolic engine is taking the proteins, the carbs, and the fats, the vitamins, and the minerals, and it's producing a certain amount of heat, all right? And now you should know why water is so important and then why water is the coolant of your metabolic engine. Just like with your car's engine, your engine produces heat. You have to have the coolant to balance out the temperature. Same thing with us with water. Now you know your body's producing heat and you need the water to balance out your temperature. That's why water is so important. Because if you didn't have coolant for your car's engine, some of you have experienced this. I've experienced this, where something with my coolant went wrong, my car overheated, and guess what ended up happening? That engine was done. It was done. I wasn't driving anywhere. I've also experienced it on the health and fitness side, where I did not give my body enough water, and guess what happened? I passed out. I've passed out, I think, 3 times. Right? One was like actually really dangerous because I was actually in the bathroom. I was like really close. I fell in between the toilet and the sink, like right on the floor in between, and I could like bang my head right on the sink or something like that. Yeah, that was a scary one. But yeah, if you don't have the coolant, the engine turns off. It is done. All right, so that's why water is so important. All right, because it's the coolant of your metabolic engine. So it produces heat. You have 2 definitions so far. Calories are the sum of your proteins, carbs, and fats. And calories are also a unit of heat production, how much heat your body is producing, right? And then, just like with your car's engine, that heat is the energy that is used for your car to go. Same thing for us. The heat that our body is producing, that heat is the energy that we are using to do whatever we want to do, to use our body, right? Well, energy also means calories, right? My friend Josh, he said, oh yeah, calories are energy. And he was right. But that was only one of the definitions. You see what I'm saying? It was only one of them. You have several different definitions depending on where you are around the metabolic engine. And the definition changes. And it kind of changes how you think about how you take care of it. You see what I'm saying? So that's what calories in and calories out fully means. And you can probably understand why we went from everything I just told you to just calories in, calories out. But now you should also understand why, if you only think calories in, calories out, you can see how you can easily do something that's not advantageous towards your health and fitness goals. You may not be giving your body the nutrients that it needs. Your body may not producing, your metabolic engine may not be talking too fast. Your metabolic engine may not be producing heat effectively and efficiently, which means you may be having a poor source of energy, and that's why you probably feel lethargic or sluggish, or you go out like I go out and play basketball and I feel I'm gassed out within like 2 minutes. I'm like, what the heck is going on? But other times I'm fine. Like I can go for hours and not feel any problem. It's all about how you take care of your metabolic engine. All about how you take care of it. All right. So that is the full definition when it comes to calories. Now that I've given you that, now I'm going to tell you something that it's going to like, hopefully it will make your eyes light up and be like, wow, that is so freaking true. So freaking true. I've told you the first mind trick that happens when it comes to people having fitness goals. They look toward trainers because that's how they look. But just because someone looks a certain kind of way, number one, just because someone looks a certain kind of way does not mean that they are a professional. You know what a professional is now. And also, just because they look a certain kind of way, right, that doesn't mean that what you see is all that they are doing. The reason why you are only seeing training is because that's what we are experts in, training. So you have to know what training actually means in order to make sure that you're going to the trainer for training, for the right reason, right? If it's fat loss, you don't need a trainer, okay? You don't, all right? And some trainers may get pissed off that I just said that because they may lose some clients, but I don't care, man. I'm telling you guys the truth because I believe that we trainers, we should be getting people who want to actually train, who need to perform and all that kind of stuff. Those are the people that we need to be helping, right? And we need to be working with the nutritionists and dietitians so that way the client can get all the help that they need and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I told you the first tricks and what happens in your head and all that kind of stuff. So now I'm going to tell you the last thing that no trainer will ever tell you. Based off of what we learn, right, when it comes to fat loss or weight loss and all kinds of stuff, based off of what we learn, I told you we are only allowed to tell you calories. We are only allowed to tell you calories in, calories out. So that's why we are advocates of the caloric deficit. Okay, that's why. But if it is true, okay, if it is true that if you want to lose weight, and some people may say if you want to lose fat, if you want to lose weight or if you want to lose fat, if it is true that all you have to do is eat less than you burn, if that is true, that all you have to do is be in a caloric deficit, then why can't you just be told how many calories you have to eat to be in a deficit and then just be on your merry way? Why do you have to train? You don't have to train at all. Based off of what everyone keeps telling you. Everyone keeps telling you it's calories in, calories out, be in a caloric deficit if you want to lose weight or fat, blah, blah, blah. You keep like, and I am talking about people, I keep talking about like weight loss, fat loss. I keep talking about that because 80 to 90% of our clientele wants to achieve that goal. Okay. That's why I keep on referring to it because that's the group that is struggling so much, like at a huge rate, they're struggling so much. So if it's true, what you guys keep on hearing, if it is true that all you have to do is be in a caloric deficit, then why do you have to train? Doesn't make any sense, right? Doesn't make sense. Like now you're like, oh yeah, if my body burns calories already because of the base metabolic rate and the total daily energy expenditure, if my body already utilizes calories already, then why can't I just eat less than those calories and I'll be in a caloric deficit? Why do I have to train? Why do I have to train? It doesn't make any sense. Now, some trainers out there, they may say things like, oh, well, you got to train so you can burn more calories. Why? We already have a total daily energy expenditure. We already do. So how come we don't just give you guys in the general public? Why don't we just give you guys the number? Why don't we just tell you how many calories you have to eat to be in a caloric deficit, and you just go on MyFitnessPal and you log your food and you hit those numbers. You hit that number, right? Why can't we just do that? Why don't we do that? This is why we don't do that. If we told you that, we would lose 80 to 90% of our clientele. That's why. But it makes no sense. We keep on trying to say, oh, you got to train. But if you actually ask that question, it's like, yeah, I actually don't have to train at all based off of what you trainers keep telling me. Based off of what you guys keep telling me, I actually don't have to train at all. At all. And that's the truth. You don't. You don't. And like, if you want to lose some fat, you don't. Based on the caloric deficit model and all that kind of, you do not. But if we told you that, we would lose 80 to 90% of our clients because 80 to 90% of people who are in the health and fitness industry who want to achieve these goals, 80 to 90% of them want to lose fat. The problem when it comes to trainers, the problem was our expertise comes to training, how the body is supposed to move around. So we had to find a way that connected our expertise to your goals. That's what we had to find out, right? So we know that it's about nutrition. Trainers, we know that, but we're only allowed to tell you guys calories. So we had to figure out how can we connect their goal to what we know. or what we are allowed to talk about, calories. So we ended up finding out that if someone took in less calories than their body was burning, they would lose weight. Notice I did not say fat. They would certainly lose weight, right? And now you know what could possibly happen. They could possibly lose fat, but they could also possibly lose water, muscle, gases, all that. They could possibly lose any of those different things, right? So we found out that if you took in less than how much your body was burning, right, then you would lose some weight in the short term. But another thing that trainers don't tell you, the guy I used to work for, he knew this to be 100% true. When he told me about the caloric deficit, right? I asked him, I was like, aren't you worried about their long-term, the long-term effects? Like, aren't you worried that their metabolism will slow down? Now you know what that means, right? Aren't you worried that if they cut their calories, that their metabolism will eventually slow down, right? You know what that means now. And I asked him that, and he was like, well, it's not that, that's not really a problem. I'm paraphrasing. It's not really a problem. They want to achieve that goal. So we're trying to get them to that goal as quickly as possible. He tried to sell me on it, basically. He tried to sell me on it. But I knew it was just complete BS because I was like, okay, so you're just not going to straight up answer the question. You're not going to answer the question that you know that it will screw up or slow down their metabolism in the long term. You know that, but you're okay with that, right? You're okay with their metabolic engine getting worse in the long term as long as they see some results in the short term. So then, and this is something that I believe, I'm not totally sure if maybe there are people out there who do this on purpose and people who know about this. But this is why I kind of believe that if we keep on giving you guys results in the short term, right? But you end up having problems in the long term, who do you have to keep coming back to? You have to keep coming back to us, right? If you have results in the short term, but then you have problems in the long term, you have to keep coming back to us. You see what I'm saying? And so that's why with me, I have clients, I've had clients in the past who've heard me say this. And if I have clients, well, not really clients, because I don't look at anyone in the Revelation Nation community as a client. But you guys who are a part of the community, you've heard me say this tons of times. I'm trying to get you to the point where you don't need me anymore. I'm trying to get you to the point where you don't need me anymore. You're like, oh, I love Cornelius, but I don't need Cornelius. If you need Cornelius, that means when Cornelius is gone, your health and fitness goals go with him. No. See, I never thought it was fair that the number one goal, the number one thing that you needed in life to achieve any goal in life, whether it be health and fitness or anything else, the number one thing you need is health. You can't achieve it if you're dead. You can't achieve a goal if you're dead. So you need to have health to have a chance to achieve any goal in life. I don't think it's fair that only a handful of people compared to the entire population understand what that actually means. Like the trainers, the nutritionists, and diet. I never thought it was fair, right? So I'm trying to give you guys the education that you need because I believe that you guys deserve to have basic health and fitness education. You deserve to have that. So when you're with me, right, you're not really following. I don't want you to think that you're following a program because you're not following a program. You're building your own health and fitness lifestyle. That's what you're doing. You're building your own lifestyle, the way that you want to live with your health and fitness. That's what you're doing. I'm giving you the education, right? And I will coach you through how you can build your lifestyle based off of what is realistic to you, not based off of what is realistic to me or what is realistic to somebody else, what is realistic for you. So I want to give you the education that you need in order to build the foundation that you need in order to make sure that if you want to do any sort of health and fitness regime, let's say you want to do P90X, or you want to do Insanity, or you want to do AthleanX with Jeff Cavaliere. I love that guy. I love that guy. Jeff, if you're watching this, you were like the reason why I had joined the health, like you were like the biggest reason why I joined, and you helped me so much. You helped me get my first job. All right. So thank you. Like, oh my gosh, you're awesome. But like you can do AthleanX and you can do this kind of stuff and you can have success. You can have success because you built your house on solid ground. And you were able to build your house on solid ground because you understand what health and fitness really means. What health and fitness really means. All right. So Long video. I'm going to close out with kind of going through the health tree diagram one more time so that way you can see how everything connects. All right. So I'm going to share my screen with you. So we go to the very top. We understand what our goal really is. Our goal is not to be leaner or to be stronger, to build muscle. That's not it. Those are the results of us improving our health, right? So, how do we improve our health? We have to take care of our metabolic engine. That's how you improve your health. So the question is, how do I improve the metabolic engine? You have to recover the engine so that way the engine can endure the stress that you have to endure. Now, when it comes to stress, you have two types. You have external stress, stress that you can control, right? And that would be like your training, your recreation, hobbies, stuff like that, right? And when it comes to stress, you have internal stress, which would be like your emotional stress. When it comes to the word training, training has nothing to do with weight or fat loss, blah, 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 blah. Nothing to do with that. We ended up finding out, trainers, we ended up finding out that training can help people with their weight loss or fat loss. We ended up finding that it could help. So that was one of the big things that we latched on to. So that way we could tap into this market for all these people who wanted to achieve weight loss and fat loss, all that kind of stuff, right? But that's not what training actually means. And if you believe that training is needed for weight or fat loss, chances are you're going to hate your training because you don't know what training actually means. Training is a test that you put your body through to see if it can perform the activities that you need to perform at a certain event or something like that. It's just a test of performance. That's all training is. All right. So if you are doing any sort of training program, make sure that your training program resembles what you want your body to be able to do. My wife, she loves rock climbing, like she loves Ninja Warrior stuff. I took her to a rock climbing place. She loved it. She loved it. And that's what she wants her body to be able to do. So that's what she does. She loves that, right? She's going to have longevity because she knows what training actually is. All right. And then when it comes to recovery side, recovery, we have three different types. We have nutrition, hydration, and sleep. All right. So with sleep and hydration, you have the minimum amount and you have the maximum amount. All right. Then when it comes to nutrition, you have quality and you have quantity. You need to have both. Now, I didn't explain the analogy with the car when it comes to quality and quantity. So now let me do that now. With your car's engine, you know how you need to have enough oil and you need to have the best type of oil for your car's engine. Same thing for our metabolic engine. You have to have the best type of nutrients and you have to have enough nutrients. So that's why nutrition is both quality and quantity. The reason why you do not hear anything about quality is because legally trainers are not allowed to tell you what to eat. So that's why you only hear quantity. And when it comes to quantity, you only hear calories, but you know what calories actually mean. You know what quantity really means. Quantity is about nutrients. Nutrients, we have two types, micronutrients and macronutrients. Micronutrients are vitamins and minerals. Macronutrients are proteins, carbs, and fats. And if you add your grams of macronutrients, if you add them together, you will end up getting total calories. All right. So that's what quantity really means. And when it comes to calories, you know that calories have more than one definition. It's the sum of all your macronutrients, as well as calories are a unit of heat production, as well as calories are energy. So it has different definitions depending on where you are around the metabolic engine. Okay. And then for quality, you have lean and greens and non-lean and greens. Lean and greens, you know that trainers, I'm not legally allowed to tell you what foods to eat, but I can tell you my philosophy. If you want to have the foods you were always designed to have, you need to have the foods you were always designed to eat. And if you look at every single nutrition program out there, you're going to see the same food categories: fruits, vegetables, and clean sources of protein. You will see the same things. And when I say clean sources of protein, I'm talking about animal meats. If you eat animal meat, or if you're vegan or vegetarian, protein powders, protein bars, stuff like that. But either way, if you look at any nutrition system out there, every single one, you're not going to get fooled into thinking that this is different, this is different, this is different. It's all the same food categories. All right. And then when it comes to quality, you also have your non-lean greens. And I explained to you that you can have your non-lean greens, but your lean greens have to be the foundation. Now, why can you have non-lean greens? Why is it possible? Let's go back to the car. Is it possible that, or are there alternative types of oil for your car's engine? Absolutely. You can put an alternative type of oil in your car's engine and your engine can deal with it, right? It can deal with it, right? But could you do that over a prolonged period of time and your engine gets better and better and better? No, that's not what's going to happen. The engine's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, right? So yes, your engine can get away with knowledge and greens. Like our engine can deal with pizza and cookies and soda. It can deal with this kind of stuff. But this cannot be the foundation of our quality. It can't be the foundation. Just like with your car's engine, the alternative type of oil cannot be the foundation for oil for your car's engine. It can't be. Otherwise, the engine will end up breaking down. All right. Now, when it comes to us with knowledge and greens, so many people, the knowledge and greens are the foundation. So what ends up happening is the engine is going to have a harder time processing the nutrients that's coming in. All right. And so when it comes to a slow metabolism versus a fast metabolism, what's ending up, what that really means is how quickly your metabolic engine can take these nutrients in, convert them into heat, and that heat be produced into energy. Let's say you're putting in 2,000 calories, but you're putting in tons and tons of knowledge and greens. Like let's just say it's all knowledge and greens, right? Or if that engine can only give out 1,000 calories within a 24-hour period, right? Well, that means you have now kept 1,000 calories, right? And then the next day that happens again and again and again and again, right? Even though you have all the quantity in the world, it's the fact that you don't have the quality and the engine is having a hard time processing it. So, I have fat on my belly, around my low chest, right? So my body, my metabolic engine has to improve in order for the engine to process the fat that I have and get it out, right? Everything your body has in terms of fat, it wants to process it and get it out, but it depends on the quality level of your metabolic engine. So you got to have the lean and greens to take care of your engine, so that way you have a great deal of recovery, so that way your recovery is above your stress, which means your metabolic engine can endure everything it has to endure to improve your health. Okay, so that's quality and quantity with nutrition. And then to finish off in the middle here, below metabolic engine, we have fitness. I told you in the beginning, fitness is the ladder that you climb to reach new levels of health. Okay, so what that means is all these different components that you just seen, all these different components are different components of fitness. These are things that you have to slowly build up. You have to slowly but surely, realistically build up your lean and greens. You have to slowly but surely build up the quantity of your lean and greens. You have to slowly but surely build up your hydration, your sleep. You got to enjoy your training if you are training, or if you're doing any kind of, you have to enjoy that kind of stuff, right? These are all components of fitness. All right. Now, when it comes to that, you have lifestyle. No matter what you do in your health and fitness journey, if you're not going to build a lifestyle, doesn't matter. You're not going to have long-term success. Now, how do you build a lifestyle? You build a lifestyle based off of doing things that's realistic to you. All right. Realistic to you. All right. So everything here, how you would have more water, or how you would get enough sleep, or how you would improve with your nutrition, how you would improve with anything, it's got to be realistic based off of who you are and where you are in your health and fitness journey. But here's the catch: you're not going to know really where you are in your health and fitness journey if you do not have fitness education. And see, that's like someone building their house on sink, or their foundation on sinking sand, right? If you don't know what these terms fully mean, yeah, you have a foundation, but the foundation is sinking sand. So now anything you do to build a lifestyle, right? If you don't have fitness education, no matter what you do, you're not going to build a lifestyle. If you don't build a lifestyle, you're not going to improve your fitness. If you don't do that, you're not going to improve the metabolic engine. And if you don't do that, you're not going to improve your health. And if you don't do that, you're not going to reach your health and fitness goals. So it starts off with you understanding what these terms really mean. And once you understand what they really mean, then you can start to make prudent decisions moving forward. Okay. So, right there. So, you have to understand what these terms really mean. So that way you can make a prudent decision based off of where you are right now. All right. And then you can make a decision based off of what is realistic. And if you keep on being realistic, you can be consistent and you can improve your health. And if you keep on improving your health, you will achieve your health and fitness goals. And more importantly, you will keep your health and fitness goals. You know why? Because you built a lifestyle. If you build a lifestyle, you will keep your health and fitness goals. All right. So this was a long video, a long video. And if you endure the entire way, thank you so much. So much. I know I went over a great deal, right? But what I want to do, what I have to do is pull back the curtain, help you guys understand what these terms really mean. Okay. And if you want to be a part of the Revelation Nation community, please join the page. Or please reach out. If you know someone who needs to know this kind of stuff, reach out. We have to spread this word. We have to, because there are so many people who are unsuccessful, even though they're doing all the right things. You guys who have your 10% and you're fine, that's fine. You keep on doing what you gotta do. I'm not addressing you guys. I'm talking to the person who did everything possible and they got worse. They did everything right. They did this, they did that, they kept going, but every single thing they did, nothing worked, nothing. And they kept getting worse. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. Okay. So if you know someone who's like that, even if you are someone who was fine with the 10%, if you are someone who's fine with that, but you know someone who is not, please reach out to them because they need more than the 10%. They need to know what's going on behind the curtain. All right. I don't want just a few people in the world to be successful. I know what it feels like to be in the dark when it comes to health and fitness, to be in the dark. So I want to make sure that anyone who is in the dark, you come into the light, you understand what these things really mean. So that way you can reach and keep your health and fitness goals. Okay. Thank you so much for enduring this entire duration for the video. I hope you like, you comment, you share. And if you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to reach out and let's go over together. All right. I'll see you next time.